drive it and tie it up with 2 seconds remaining.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Prescott trying to take advantage, going deep. Cooper, one-hander! Are you kidding me?
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Over the middle, he's got a man in stride, and walking into the end zone is Josh Fleeks with the touchdown.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Now with 5. Mitchell wants another 3, and he finds it.
And you want him to play football, Grant.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
We will, in about 10 minutes, hear from U.S. Olympian Casey Lightfoot, Baylor's great All-American pole vaulter who qualified for the U.S. Olympic team. He'll join us at 3:10 today, among some other guests, including a tease of just a part of what is an hour and 20-something minutes with Don Trull and Lawrence Elkins in studio. Had the pleasure of being a part of that earlier today. Armstrong, I'm going to bring Armstrong in a minute to talk about that and what he heard and saw. We'll do that today around 4. But, SicEm365 Radio, Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, and I'm David Smoak. And we should have known this yesterday when we had Mac Rhodes on the show. He is named as the Sports Business Journal Athletic Director of the Year.
Well, when you win a men's basketball title in a school that's never won one before, and pretty much every other sport other than football was going great guns, and you had to replace a coach, I don't think that's too far-fetched to think that Mac Rhodes would be the athletic director of the year.
Yeah, I mean, basketball national title weighs heavily. I don't know who his competition was. The men's football champion and there's still a bunch that haven't even been crowned yet. So, I mean, as far as, being consistently good across the board, and we're talking about the fact that this could have been a year of the Bear 2.0 if, things would have gone differently, let's say, with women's basketball. If they don't, go on that long drought against UConn, they win that game, maybe go on and win a national title, probably would have gone on to win a national title. That could have been a better year. If, baseball had made the postseason, it could have been a better year. I mean, there's ways it could have been better. Obviously, football had a bad year, but across the board, it was pretty consistently good, and teams were going deep. And so he got a sports director of the year from another organization last year, and now SBJ this year. So congratulations to Mac.
Yeah, he's had, again, there's more than just the wins, the championships, including the graduation rate, and really also what he's done. So Mac Rhodes named late yesterday evening actually, as the athletic director of athletics of the year by the Sports Business Journal. College Baseball World Series, Texas and Virginia elimination game tonight. Did you guys see the end of Vanderbilt-Stanford?
Poor Stanford.
Gave up 2 runs in the ninth. The last one was on a wild pitch.
That is a
walk-off wild pitch.
Yeah, I don't know how many times. I don't think I've ever seen that before. A walk-off wild pitch.
I don't know.
I've seen that. I've definitely seen it before. I don't recall exactly when and where, but I've definitely seen that. But yeah, that's a pretty awful way to lose a baseball game. I mean, that's tough for the pitcher and catcher to swallow. I'm sure they're figuring they could have done something better or whatever. But that's just a really tough way to lose a game.
Ashley Hodge with some notes. One of the notes in the premium section has been up there since yesterday evening, right about the time we ended the show, but we're going to share it with you because tomorrow we have a guest on. Baylor assistant basketball coach Bill Peterson's taking a group including Zach Loveday, LJ Cryer, and Dale Bonner to North Macedonia for like a week and a half with the athletes in action. He'll be a part of the show tomorrow to discuss that as well. Craig normally does NBA. I'll wait for that. But the Rick Carlisle note, he is now, it didn't take long, did it?
Nope, and back to Indiana. Reggie Miller with a great quote on this when they asked him about it, said, the players on the team, ran off Nate McMillan, who had them in the in the Eastern Conference Finals. They ran off a guy after 1 year, so maybe they need to start looking because they've got a potential Hall of Famer and a guy who's won a championship rolling back in the door. And I think it's great for Rick Carlisle. It's a bit of a surprise for me. I thought he might want to go somewhere where they might have had a roster that was a little more built, but familiarity with ownership and where it is, and he's getting $29 million guaranteed. So good on him, and hopefully for Indiana, they can get back in it here soon.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a Pacers fan, I'm excited about it. I saw a lot of people wondering, like, why would you leave the Mavs and Luka, or somehow this says something about the Mavs and Luka that you'd go to a lesser team on paper. But, clearly there was organizational issues for the Mavericks. It's not about, the fact that you have Luka Doncic on your team and you're just going to stay there just because you have this player. I mean, there's something to be said for being happy, and there's something to said for getting along with the people you work with, and there's something to be said for a lot of those different things. And so he could have had Luka, and he could have had 3 Lukas, and he still might not have been happy and wanted to go somewhere else. So clearly Indiana's a place he likes if you're going to, be their head coach twice, and I'm sure he'll do well there. He's going to have to revamp that roster a little bit, but I'm interested to see who the Mavs go out and get, and there's not a lot of Rick Carlisle's walking out on the street, so it'll be an interesting decision on their part.
Yes, the NBA teams, I think there were 6 until Boston yesterday, and now Indiana's off the table. But when that happened, what has it been, about a week ago, I'm sure the NBA teams that knew they needed a new head coach went, what? Well, that allows us to know somebody we'll at least talk to, right? And perhaps go, well, that's a lot better than anything perhaps that we had on our table. A couple of notes. Caden Salter from Cedar Hill High School committed to Tennessee. Someone Baylor had interest in. The quarterback has been dismissed from the team. Josh Heupel at Tennessee dismissed him and others. I think there was another player involved who was arrested. That's a player that was, Baylor had been in touch with quite a bit. So that was a story involving former Cedar Hill quarterback in Caden Salter following an arrest over the weekend. That's
first I heard of that, and that's pretty crazy because, he just got there basically. So to already be dismissed is not what you want. That's pretty tough news right there. So kind of wonder what all happened and everything like that. Apparently it was a drug issue, a drug arrest type of thing. But my gosh, to already be kicked off the team is pretty serious stuff. So, man, that's surprising. Yeah, that's not good for Caden and obviously Tennessee. And that might be as well, you have Josh Heupel who comes in and he has to lay down the law in certain ways, and maybe Tennessee has been a little bit loosey-goosey lately anyway.
Well, and that's his second incident. He had been suspended from the team in March after an incident at an on-campus residence hall. Well, then that makes sense. I haven't kept up with him or Tennessee and didn't know about that first issue. But, yeah, if you're already, you got 2 incidents in a few months' time and you haven't really done anything on the team yet to prove yourself, I could see Josh Heupel coming in there and feeling like, we can't really have guys, with all the exits that they've had. Clearly the culture there is in serious need of revamping. Like, that's mission number 1 for Josh Heupel. So, maybe this is, or not maybe, clearly this is part of that. And I was reading on it, so they got stopped for a violation of no taillights and a tinted plate cover over the vehicle registration, and then subsequently admitted to having marijuana and telling the passenger to throw it out of the vehicle when officers stopped it. So that was apparently what he got in trouble for. But, yeah, it sounds like they were just fed up, and they're like, no more of this. And Baylor lucked out on that one, ended up with, Kyron Drones instead, and I think they're pretty happy with that. Yeah, they do. They love the Kyron Drones option that, of course, they had as well. See you on Last Chance U, Caden Salter. Yeah, that might be where he ends up, yeah. The Astros have won 104 straight games. Amazing. Paul, they've won 104 consecutive games. It's a record, by the way. Yeah, they're only getting credit for 46 of them, which is insulting to them. But it's because of COVID. They're absolutely on a roll. I watched a couple of games when they put the Red Sox a couple weeks ago, and the Red Sox couldn't have beaten them if they took away the actual bats and made the Astros swat the ball with their hands. It was absolutely unbelievable. Like I told you before, the A's, this is a nice little story. They're going to do what the A's do and hang around and money ball it, even though Billy Bean's not there anymore. They're going to do all this and walk and whatever, maybe hit a couple home runs here and there. But the Astros are by far the best team in the West. Well, they're barreling down the street, 10 straight wins. And they just
destroyed and crucified Baltimore, which, of course, a lot of people have because they're as bad as anybody.
Yeah, Baltimore's awful. I mean, that is a franchise that, I mean, I'd rather be a Rangers fan than an Orioles fan, honestly, and that's saying something, I think. But, I mean, what is with the West? It's the same story every single year, and, like, nothing ever changes. The Astros are always the best team pretty much. The A's hang around until we get, like, past the All-Star break, and then they may be, like, a wild card team, but they're probably not going to win the division. They'll get in the wild card and then do whatever they do there, probably lose that, and then they're done. And then next year they'll come back and they'll hang around and they'll flirt with the playoffs and then they'll be done. And they won't go out in the offseason and spend big money and try to put themselves over the top. They'll just keep doing what they've been doing. So nothing ever changes with Oakland. The Rangers every 10 years have a playoff team for a couple years in a row and then they go back to just being nothing. The Angels have spent big money and they've just sat between third and fourth in the division pretty much the entire time for the last few years. The Mariners never change. They're always 2 through 4, basically.
It's been a long time since the days of Griffin and Buhner and Martinez.
But it's just like it's
Randy
the same.
Johnson.
It's the same division that it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like basically, like nothing has changed in this division other than the Astros.
Yeah, no, the Rangers probably 5 or 6 years ago were still in that mix. But you're right. The Astros and they since they've joined the National League to the American League, since they joined the American League, they've had those back and forth. The Rangers kind of owned them for a while, but they have the best record in the American League, and that wasn't the case a couple of weeks ago. But when you win 10 straight, obviously that's going to have something to do with it. And here's the craziest number. The differential in runs scored doesn't always, but if you're a positive, you're going to probably win more than you lose. The Rays, who have been really good from start to finish, have a plus 75 differential, more runs than they have given up. Red Sox plus 32. Blue Jays plus 46. White Sox are plus 86. The A's, who are just 2 back of Houston, who led for a long, long time until recently, have a plus 29. Let's go down to the National League. Plus 101 for the Giants. 96 for the Dodgers. Houston's a plus 135.
Yeah, they score.
Now, that doesn't mean if you win 10-0, 10-0, then lose 2-1 5 consecutive times. That could happen, but that's not the case. I mentioned this a day or two ago, they're just sledgehammering people with their offense, just crushing them.
Yeah, and they have, I feel, they probably have something to prove after being called cheaters everywhere they go.
Oh, yeah.
And still, so they've got a chip on their shoulder.
They absolutely do. There's no question about it. So that's some of the headlines for today. Casey Lightfoot, pole vaulter, U.S. Olympian. We're going to have him join us here just momentarily, as he was a part of that group of Baylor athletes, Trayvon Bromell, Brittany Griner, and obviously as well with Will London III, who joined us on the show Tuesday, who's a part of the United States Olympic team. Emma and Hayden and Jack God, I'm so used to you. Armstrong. Jack is out for a couple of days. Armstrong, Emma, and Hayden. I looked right at you and said, Jack, because I saw you today. We'll have Casey here join us in just a second. I want to get Armstrong in here in a minute to be able to tell his side of what he saw. We had the legends, Don Trull and Lawrence Elkins, in studio at a sit-down interview earlier today. We're going to play part of that today at 4, and then we'll let the guys at the top of the food chain decide whenever we release the rest of it, and Armstrong's a part of that as well. We had Grant Tapp, and then today, Don Trull and Lawrence Elkins. We're now joined by U.S. Olympian Casey Lightfoot, Baylor, who's home in Missouri on SicEm365 Radio. What was more difficult, Casey, qualifying to be a part of the United States Olympic team with the 2 or 3 days afterwards?
Oh, man, I don't know. That's a tough question. I kind of have to say the qualifying for the team, but right afterwards is tough. I mean, you get real busy. You got to go through team processing, a lot of phone calls, but it's all part of the journey. But I would say the qualifying was probably the harder part.
What does it mean to you to see so many other Baylor people, whether they're, Brittany Griner, who was here a long time before you were, or people that you know from track and field on your own team making the roster?
Hey, that's all you can really hope for sure. Obviously, I would wish that all of us could make the Olympic team, but it's nice to see my boy Will London was out there, and we made the World Championship team together in 2019. So it's always nice to go out there and compete and make a team with him. And that's like I said, that's all you can ask for. You always hope the best for your teammates, and thankfully, I know we got a few Baylor grads that are going to be on the team. So it'll be fun to hang out in the Olympic Village with all of them.
Casey, when do you first remember having the Olympic dream?
Oh man, I mean, it's been a long time. I guess most careers, you don't start at a really young age. You don't start thinking that big, but I mean, it came on pretty early. I'd probably say, beginning of high school for sure, maybe middle school.
Casey, you hear of growing up, of course, depends on the age of who we're talking about. You grow up, you put a baseball glove on, or you have a ball in your hand, or you dribble a basketball, or you want to throw a football or whatever. Not many grow up and start talking about playing or being a part of competing in the pole vault. I still think the sport's crazy. I think that particular event is somewhat, you have to have a certain mentality that most Americans don't have. Was there ever a time when or how long until the first time you ran down the lane, stuck that pole in the whatever it is, did you get to the point where it was a natural thing for you?
I mean, I grew up playing all the baseball, basketball, football, whatever. I grew up doing that. But yeah, pole vaulting was definitely unique. And I mean, I started whenever I was about 13. And it was never because you got to remember, if you start and you're only jumping 7, 8 foot, so it's a lot different than jumping 19, 20 foot. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it never felt too weird. I mean, I guess you could say, yeah, it was weird at first, but I mean, whenever you're only jumping 7 foot, it's a lot different. So it wasn't that abnormal, but I mean, from an outside view, looking at it now, it's, I mean, one of the craziest things you could think of.
Yeah, did you ever think what crazy person thought this up?
I mean, I think it started as actually more for a distance thing. I think it started, people were using sticks and jumping over river canals, mm-hmm. But whoever's idea it was to start going for height, I don't know what he was thinking. That was not the brightest idea.
Yeah, I said this one time. Think about running down a runway or whatever it is to stick a stick in the ground in a hole and then hope it launches you in the air. It's just it's not the normal thing that people do every day. How critical is the pole? How critical is the pole? It's like you have golfers who hit certain type of irons, drivers, they hit certain golf balls, the equipment for others, even cars or whatever else. How dynamic is that as a part of it? How critical is a special pole?
I mean, I guess without a pole, it'd be like playing golf without a golf club completely. I mean, it's what you have to have it. But everybody's kind of unique in their way. We're all kind of on different poles, and we all have different brands. But I mean, it's pole vaulting for a reason. You can't do it without that thing. So, I mean, a lot goes into the mechanics to be able to use the pole in the correct way. But without it, I mean, we'd just be high jumping.
You decided to turn pro early. You had won the indoor championship and were also on your way to doing much, much more, and you made the decision. That's been chronicled for the last couple of months. What have you done other than qualify for the Olympic team? What's that like, life after college and trying to become and turning professional?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a big change in my life for sure. I mean, I was still finishing the year up because I still had a year or two of eligibility left, but there just wasn't a whole lot more that I could do in college. I mean, I broke the collegiate record 3 times indoors. I won NCAAs. I won conference 4 times. And I mean, it's all really cool stats and everything that you can put on your resume. But I mean, whenever you look at it, it's the point that I was kind of at. You don't make, I mean, I made $0 from doing all of that. So whenever you have an opportunity to try to do what you've always kind of wanted to do and make a living from it, I mean, it was a hard decision for sure. But I mean, it was the time for me, and when opportunities come, you got to take them.
How important was Coach Richards in your development and your time at Baylor?
I mean, it was a typical athlete-coach relationship. I mean, you can't do anything without a coach. So, I mean, we spent a lot of time together. We worked through a lot of things, but still love Coach Richards. But it was time for me to move on, and that's just how it happened to be. But we had a good relationship, and I mean, we did a lot, and we accomplished a lot together.
When you set that goal of being an Olympian, and then when it became official, when that happened, I guess, what was it, Monday night or so, when that happened, What was the immediate thought when you hit the pad?
Oh man, I don't know, because it was still an intense part of the competition. I think there's still 5 people in, but I made 85 on my first attempt, and that put me up into a contending spot. I think I was tied for second, and that's what I ended at. And I mean, there was definitely a lot of emotions after that jump, but I couldn't just let them all out, because just in case Ludwig or Wooten made 85 or something, I still would have had to jump for a spot. But I mean, after the competition was over, after 85 was done, we were all kind of standing there. I was talking to Chris and Sam, and we were like, "Hey, I think we're the three going," and then it was high fives kind of all around, and it was a fantastic experience.
That's a less intense moment than you think. Like, oh, hey, is it us? All right, great. But then you have the intense moments coming up when you get to Tokyo. KC, you are from Kansas City. You spent a lot of time in Texas. That means that I know that you probably can't do this a lot because you're training for the Olympics and
you're not going there. You're going to barbecue.
I have to eat protein paste or something. But Kansas City barbecue, Texas barbecue, pros and cons. Which way do you lean?
Oh man, you can't be asking me that question. I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna be honest. I probably had more Texas barbecue than I have had Kansas City barbecue.
Okay,
but I do believe that Kansas City barbecue might be better. Not in all aspects, though.
It's hard to pick because Kansas City does the burn ends so well.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just Texas has really good ribs and brisket.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough. That's why I wanted your opinion. And you don't have to take a side. Nobody's voting. So yeah,
you just lost your passport into Texas. But Casey, being in that Kansas City area, and obviously your initials KC. Not take something for granted. What does KC stand for?
It actually doesn't stand for anything. I mean, it just kind of be a CASEY or however else you want to spell it, but we just happen to spell it a little different. The ongoing joke is my father was a kindergarten teacher for 29 years, and we just told him that's as far as he could spell it out. So we just stuck with 2 letters.
I love that. What has your family, what's this been like for them, watching all the dedication, the time, the energy, the money, the travels, all of that, and then being able to see their son is on the Olympic team?
I mean, I don't know exactly what they're thinking, but I mean, I could imagine kind of what they're seeing. I mean, I had both my parents full of tears of joy the other day. So, I mean, it's a good feeling for me. It's a good feeling for them. It's nice to just be able to see that all this hard work is starting to pay off and how dreams are starting to come true. So, I mean, if I had to speak for them, I'd say they're pretty happy.
Well, one more thing, because we had Will London III on, and he talked about the day or two after, as you mentioned, all the decompression, the compartment, all the phone, whatever, paperwork. What happens to you now? What do you do now between now and eventually you head to Tokyo? What's in your agenda?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just a lot of training. I mean, he's just hitting it hard until Tokyo. I think I'm gonna go do a couple meets over in Europe in a week or two, and then probably come back and then just get ready for Tokyo.
Thank you, Casey. Congratulations. Oh, Armstrong, do you want to add what you told me about him? Yeah, because I asked you earlier today, I said, you've heard Casey. He was on the earlier show for 2 or 3 different times during the year when you were breaking records, and you said something about what the kind of person you thought he was.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying from his appearances on Uptempo, he just seemed like a really genuine guy, really well-raised, very well-spoken, and I just, did not seem like you're talking to a college kid, really, when you talk to him.
You hear that, Casey?
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Congratulations, and go represent. I know you will, and enjoy it. Enjoy it as much as you can. Thanks,
I will. I'll give him my all. Thank you.
He's headed to practice. Casey Lightfoot, U.S. Olympic pole vaulter. Of all the sports, I don't think I could do that one.
Well, y'all are confused about even like the pole, and that's interesting though. I mean, you'd think that they just grab any old pole and go out there, but
like a guy who plays billiards, everyone has a different type of stick, right?
He's like, well, if I didn't have a pole, I'd just be a high jumper. So, I don't think he really knew what to say to that, but yeah, I mean, it's a weird sport. I mean, I don't know if they invented that trying to cross a river back in the day or what, but it's a unique sport, and those that are good at it are fun to watch, and he's one of them. So best of luck to him in Tokyo.
I don't know if that's how they invented the pole vault. You know, they had some big piece of bamboo and they stuck it in the ground to go over a river.
Yes, that's how they were doing it. In England, there are all these, they drained all these canals or created these canal systems and created all these marshes. So for people to get over them, they had to pole vault. Now, granted, they weren't going 19 feet in the air. It was 4 or 5 feet, but that was how it kind of came. And then somebody said, "Hey, what if we did this over a thing?" That'd be something,
like over a thing.
Like over a thing.
It's sort of like anything else. Guys are just bored of doing it all the time, and then all of a sudden you put a little money on it, and then you're like, "Oh, I bet I can get higher than you can." And the next thing you know, if somebody brings a pole out, and then you got a whole sport that's been started.
How many times have you been in your life stuck somewhere because of the weather when you were with your buddies? Can't go out because it's raining, and they're like, "All right, first person to knock 3 cans over with a penny, wins," and you just invent a game. The dream of everyone who does that would get the game to the Olympics. The pole vaulting guy did it.
Yeah.
And it's unique. I mean, compared to the other track and field events, especially, you got mostly running, and then you've got, a few tossing, whether it be like the hammer throw or the shot put or whatever. But the pole vault is fun to watch, and, good to have him on, and good for him. I mean, to be able to go to Tokyo, be able to go represent the greatest country in the entire world, the United States of America, and wear that red, white, and blue is got to be really cool. And it'll only be cooler if you can, get on that podium, which I know he's going to try to do. But just the experience in and of itself, I think, would be incredibly special to be a part of that.
Sergei Bubka. I remember how good he was from the Ukraine back many years ago, back in fact, 94 when had the record. Sam Kendricks of the United States has the highest jump or vault. And then Armand Duplantis from Italy is right now the world record holder, it appears to be. I can't tell if that's the highest or not. Yeah,
I believe he's from Sweden.
Sweden? What did I say?
Yeah, that's definitely Sweden's flag.
Oh, Sweden. I was looking at where it was. He did that in Italy. Okay. All right, it's 3:26 when we come back. Line open at 254-339-1122. Your thoughts and comments. And Casey Lightfoot, obviously, with what he's done. And also at 4 o'clock, just a snippet of the Don Trull, Lawrence Elkins sit-down one-on-one. In fact, Armstrong, you want to do that after the break? You want to do it now? Do it after the break. Craig, you got something else?
I just want to tease the SicEm365 premium section again, and I'm putting it in here now because I'm thinking about it. But if you're interested in recruiting, then that's the place to be. That's the place to go. And the reason why I'm bringing it up now is because there's a very intriguing post that is on there right now being discussed about a potential, keyword potential, transfer that Baylor could be looking at, and it's somebody that they had talked to here in the not so distant past as far as recruiting this person. So that's just one of many notes. I got the Mac Rhodes recap up there from yesterday as well, where he talked about a lot of different things. The first time we talked to him in about a month. But, yeah, I just want to put that out there as a little teaser, just some of the conversation happening. So if you're curious about things like that in general, or right now, the SicEm365 premium section is where you can go check that out.
Absolutely. And I'm always like, there's 9, 10, 15 things. And the next day, there's 9, 10, 12, 15 things, and 5 or 6 of them are new. And then sometimes you look up and there's 10 new, like post and information, recruiting, and much more. Little nuggets. And everybody across the board in the umbrella of SicEm365.com is doing something that they do very well, and sometimes many things, in posting the premium section. 254-339-1122, SicEm365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, metal buildings, metal roofing, pipe and steel. Pleased to offer the best in metal buildings that fit your needs. To full residential and commercial options, they are there to serve you. And in fact, locations in Waco and Bryant. Quality, reliability when it comes to metal roofing, and what they guarantee with metal roofing materials, offering a large variety of panels and colors to ensure your satisfaction when picking out your metal roof. And also pipe and steel, whether you're a professional, weekend warrior, everything you need for the next project. They have a large variety of structural steel, pipe, to ensure that each and every customer's requests are met and satisfied. And the best part is the customers, and a lot of them are you, have not just been there once, but dozens of times because they were opened in 1943. The Pioneer Boys in Waco and Bryan open Saturdays 8 until noon. metal roofing, metal buildings, pipe and steel, and they will unload and even, deliver first and then unload the heavy equipment wherever the site might be. PioneerBoys.com.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
The 4th of July sales event is going on at Allen Samuels with the 2021 Jeep Renegade Latitude and values up to $3,750 or 1.9% for 72 months plus $500 bonus cash. And the 2021 Jeep Gladiator Overland with values up to $1,500 or 3.9% for 72 months. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340, online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by, let's be friends.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Are you a SicEm365 superfan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
Garland Bear 84, thank you. Mondo Duplantis has lived in Louisiana all of his life, but represents Sweden since his grandparents are from there. Huh. A little note about the pole vault, all-time pole vault champion as well. Armstrong, you were here earlier today. You and Marquise and also Adrian.
Andrew.
A-Rod, I'm sorry. And got a chance to see 2 legends in our studio. Mm-hmm. Your thoughts about what you heard? We'll have part of that at 4, Lawrence Elkins and Don Trull.
I thought it was fantastic. A-Rob, our intern, had never heard of these guys. And he was like, oh, these old guys, this is going to be boring. And after the interview, he was genuinely like, that was really interesting. I was an hour 23 long, and I was engaged the whole time. And I thought he was right. I think it was good banter, funny stories, crazy stories.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I thought it was really enjoyable.
Those two are like, you hear about the combinations, of course, RG3, Kendall Wright, and Terrence Williams, and eventually others, Corey Coleman, but with other quarterbacks. But, yeah, the two different personalities, the quarterback and the wide receiver, two different parts of the world, two different parts of the country, and how they got to Baylor is amazing. We'll have that, again, part of that today at 4 o'clock. We've interviewed him before. Elkins, of course, you talk about a life. Robert Duvall helped him introduce him to Sammy Ball. He was a part of, what's the name of that, Tender Mercies or some movie or whatever, where Duvall won an Academy Award, and then Lonesome Dove. And he just kind of traveled around the country, and then Saudi Arabia. There's a story about Saudi Arabia that's all coming down. I don't know when the whole thing's going to run. I have no idea.
Texas Monthly did a few years ago when Lonesome Dove had its whatever anniversary, and like I remember reading it, and like they interviewed Lawrence Elkins for the piece, and I'm thinking like, what in the hell did he have to do with Lonesome Dove? But he's friends with Robert Duvall.
He was huge friends with Robert Duvall. Hung around with him. He thinks for like a couple of years. He was just kind of like his buddy.
Yeah, so I found that out. We interviewed not Robert Duvall. We asked Lawrence Elkins, like, do you still talk to him? He's like, no. Yeah, it's just how it happens. It's a life.
So that will be at some point the upper chain. Try to figure out when we'll run that. And Armstrong, of course, is we're going to start trying to do those about every month, like we did with Grant Taff and Lawrence Elkins, and also Don Trull as well. The Mack Rhodes and the Athletic Director of the Year. He was with us yesterday on some of what he said. How he said Baylor's ready and prepared for the name, image, and likeness.
I'm not surprised because Mack is someone who's not going to get caught.
Yeah.
He's not going to, they're not going to, catch him not looking. And he is absolutely ready for that because it would be silly knowing that. Here's the other thing about the name, image, and likeness thing. You know how fast Texas passed it, right? It was one of those things that all basically the argument was is like, hey, California, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida have all this.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, well, our football players have to have it too. Look, I know it's everybody, but it's our football players have to have it too. That's the logic in many people's minds. So you're not going to vote against it. And so it went that fast. Greg Abbott signed it,
Starts July 1st, right?
Yeah, he signed it faster than if it had bullets in it. But that was a gun joke. Anyway, it sounded.
That didn't go over very well.
No, it didn't.
No, I just didn't react to it. It actually is a great joke because it's absolutely true. But
anyway, so it shows how quickly you can get it done. And the other thing, the NCAA never does, ever. Like they have the FBI look into something, or the FBI looks into something, and then the NCAA has to do their own investigation. No, you don't. The FBI, who had subpoenas, has the investigation. You just need to read their report and do that. Why do you need to go back through? With Miami, you remember Miami got in all that trouble, and they had been investigated. All this stuff was public record, and they went through. And what happened? Something happened in Miami, but it took them 3 years to read something that took everyone else 3 hours.
Yeah.
So it just instead of trying to come up with a working group and all this stuff, why don't you guys just take the legislation that's been authored, find stuff that may clash, like California and Texas might have different things, but I don't think that's the case. I think all these states basically took California's law, tweaked it to fit their state, and then passed it. And do that.
Because here's the deal, and this is part of government, and from whether it's the city, the county, the state, or the country, we have to have these committees. It's you have to meet. Let's meet to decide when we're going to meet and what we're going to meet about.
Look, Smokey,
I'm right?
Yeah, Smokey, when I'm cooking something, and you and I both really like to cook, and I'll sometimes I'm making something you've made a lot, I'll call you, or you call me and ask me about an Italian dish, and I'll say, yeah, this is what I do. But do you call 8 other people? No, you have a recipe, you follow the recipe, and then you make adjustments to your personal taste.
Yep.
That's what the NCAA has to do.
Someone likes basil or something else a little bit different, and I'm not that technical when it comes to some of the seasonings. I like cumin. That's one of my favorite seasonings. But certain things, you just kind of play with it a little bit.
If you know that, like, I'm making chili, but everybody here doesn't like spicy chili, I'm going to make some that's a little bit more mild, and that way people who want spicy can season it up later. That's all you have to do. The NCAA, people tell them how to do things, and then they take it to a committee, and then it takes 10 years to figure out that you need a second damn committee.
Yeah, no, I know. I just committees to get to meet. Scotty B loved the Casey Lightfoot interview, and interesting to get that perspective recently because I know former pro pole vaulter Annie Rhodes, maiden name before getting married to her husband Zach in 2017, Zach Jonigan. I've known both for a combined 27 years. And Armstrong throws in the part about how he's a very genuine young man, and now you could tell he was done with college. Not so much because he didn't want to get the degree or whatever. He probably already even had that. I don't know. He was ready to take it to another level because the depth of pole vaulting in the country is so good. He had to go to the next level, no matter how good it was for him and winning the indoor championship. He was ready to go. Let's go. The Olympic Games, and then also his professional career as well. It's 340 SicEm365 Radio, 254-339-1122. What do you got there, Paul? Anything?
We'll talk about this in the next time.
All right, we'll come back with the Heisman quarterbacks from the 2000s to the 2010s, a comparison with that. This is SicEm365 Radio. Marco's Pizza. I might get on the online with him. It's so simple. Marco's Pizza. Go online, order the pizzas you want. We usually get the 2 large pizzas with all meat. Thin crust has always been my go-to. And on occasion, whatever else they have. If there's a change up, maybe you don't like all the meat on it and you just want pepperoni, or perhaps you want just a cheese pizza. It's a pizza place. They have the pizza that you like, whatever combination, whatever ingredients, whatever sauce, whatever cheese, thick crust, thin crust, whatever. They have that, plus the amenities of other particular, you got chicken nuggets and wings and things like that as well. It's Marco's Pizza. Bob Mock is the owner. Locations in China Spring, Bellmead, and in Woodway. It's very simple. They deliver Marco's Pizza to us here at SicEm365.com. Summertime, you get home, you're hot, you don't want to get in the kitchen and get even more like the oven on or whatever. You don't want to get around the grill unless it's the weekend. Order your pizza from Marco's at Marco's Pizza, Woodway, China Spring, and Bellmead.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717, or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 for all day Saturday and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house-cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, here we go. SicEm365 Radio, 346 is the time, all the way up until 6 o'clock. Andrew Billings and his family have begun a foundation about giving back to where they are from here in Waco. He'll join us today around 5:20, I think it is. Mickey Spagnola, 430, DallasCowboys.com. And also, again, Trull and Elkins, part of their interview with us at 4 o'clock today. Craig's off the radar at 4:45, and Paul's top 5, of course, at the very end of the show. Paul?
All right, so this is a graphic from Fox College Football, and it's two QBs of the 2000s versus QBs of the 2010s. I should have sent this to you, Armstrong, but let me see if I can get it to you real quick. But it kind of shows you the difference in quarterbacking that is gone over in the last decade. I'm sending this to Armstrong real quick so he can get it up so everyone can see it. So, yes, we lifted this from Fox College Football, but it's an interesting graphic, I thought. So, in the 2000s, here are the quarterbacks that won the Heisman Trophy. Chris Weinke, Eric Crouch, Carson Palmer, Jason White, Matt Leinart, Troy Smith, Tim Tebow, Sam Bradford. In the 2010s, Cam Newton, RG3, Johnny Manziel, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, and Joe Burrow. And
so 9 of the 10 years in the 2010, well, yeah, 9 of the 10 were quarterbacks.
Yeah, but I mean, their question is, who would you want to roll with, which era? And I think it's kind of obvious because if you look at the left column, there's only one genuinely successful NFL quarterback over there, and that's Carson Palmer. And we can debate the merits of Sam Bradford, for whatever he was.
Sure.
But if you look on the right column, you've got Cam Newton, who was in the Super Bowl, Robert Griffin, who was a Rookie of the Year, Johnny Manziel was a bust, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota to be determined, but,
Jackson won an MVP.
Baker Mayfield looks like he's on the up. Kyler Murray looks like he's on the up, and Joe Burrow, again, played one season, looked okay, and then got hurt.
Is this a question about
Which side would you rather roll with in the NFL? Yeah.
In the NFL?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, clearly the right side, but if I'm winning college football games, there's way more national champions on the left side.
Yeah.
There's one on the right side, and that would be Burrow.
3. Yeah, because Cam Newton won one. And then
on the right side?
Yeah, and Jameis Winston won.
Where's Cam Newton on the right side?
He's on the very top. You can't see it. That paper's in the way.
Well, okay, sorry. Then never mind.
No, that's okay. But no, okay. Paul, did Weinke win a national title?
You bet your booty he
Carson
did.
Palmer?
No.
Matt Leinart?
Leinart did, yeah.
May have won 1 or 2. How many did Tebow win?
Tebow won 2.
So they have actually more national championships at the college level on the left. It's still true, Craig. The left side has more rings and bling, but
it's not even a question, though.
Right
it's not even a question. Like, I mean, Who'd you rather have in the NFL? I don't know. The guy, like the 6 starters in the NFL right now on the right side versus the entire left side that, averaged 1.5 years in the entire, in the league. Yeah. I mean, Jason White sniffed the NFL. Matt Leinart was a nobody. Troy Smith was a nobody. Crouch, nobody. Tebow was a nobody, but we just give him attention because he loves God and he's a nice guy. Bradford basically did nothing. Crouch, nothing. Wanky, nothing. I mean, there's
Wanky went 1 in 15.
Yeah, the only guy that did anything in the NFL worth talking about is Carson Palmer.
Yeah, and he was pretty good, but you're right. He's the only one.
And on the right side, you've got 4 guys who are top 10 superstars in the league right now.
And the last, Newton obviously
was the biggest star before the Super Bowl collapse. He was like the biggest star in the NFL.
And is still a part of the league. RG3, we know his story. Winston, is he going to start?
I would think
in New Orleans?
You would think so.
He did play in Tampa. Mariota had a nice little run there with Tennessee. Lamar Jackson's an MVP guy, although he has to get better. Baker Mayfield, I think there was a lot of people that did not expect him to make it. He's taken Cleveland to they'd make the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, I thought Kyler Murray was dynamic almost immediately, although still has to get better. And then Burrow, he got hurt, so we don't know, but I'm sure he'll be just fine.
Yeah, if I'm going to win college games, though, I'm looking at that left side because those guys, the right side wouldn't be bad either. There's definitely playoff guys and national championship guys, but, some guys are just better college players, like Troy Smith, for example, Tim Tebow. that left side is guys who are just great college players. The right side is guys who are great college players and great NFL players.
Also depends on now most everyone's running the wide open, throw the ball a lot, but it depends if you wanted to run with those players. If you had a team that ran the I or the option.
I'm going with option with Lamar Jackson before I'm going probably anybody else. I know Eric Crouch would be right at the top of that list too, but I just think Lamar Jackson probably would, in the Nebraska offense that they ran. Imagine Lamar frickin' Jackson.
He'd have to be bigger. He'd have to definitely get thicker.
But come on.
Oh no, with all what they had.
Look, Tebow would have been. Amazing.
Yeah, he would have won a Heisman in Nebraska. Lamar Jackson would have won a Heisman in Nebraska.
You know what though? I don't know if Tebow I could be wrong. This is not hating on him. He's a great college quarterback. Tebow in the option would have been pretty good, but would he have been able to run the speed option that they ran the triple
he's not super
Crouch
fast.
Could flat out go.
Yeah.
Frazier could go.
No, he wouldn't have been like the break it for 90 guy that they.
But he would have been. Yeah.
But Frost. Frost was not.
He was pretty athletic. He was definitely faster than Tebow.
Still think, but Tebow was still.
He was in the secondary in the NFL for his career.
Yeah. But even Mariota in something like that, that's very interesting. That's
it's cool to just kind of take a glimpse at a lot of quarterbacks, man.
That's 17. Am I right? 17 of the 20 Heisman Trophy winners were quarterbacks.
Yeah,
which it's not like breaking news, but still seems to be too much.
Yeah, it is too much. But part of it is just because I think until recently, I think anybody ever called out the voting. It was just one of those things that, okay, well, he's the quarterback on the best team, or he's done this. It was, and look, most of it is quarterbacks and running backs because, back in the day, look, if you're Earl Campbell, you're winning the Heisman Trophy. There's nobody else you should vote for in that instance. But I think there are times now where you have to look at the game and, there are going to be people like Manti Te'o who got in and he came in second to Johnny Manziel. And there are guys who deserve to be in the discussion. And Ndamukong Suh, like Craig said the other day, should have won that Heisman. If not for the 3 quarterbacks that were in that thing, I think splitting up a lot of the vote, more people might have been like, oh, okay.
Colt McCoy was in that mix.
Yeah, Tebow was in it. And I think, and Bradford, right?
Right. The poll that I put up yesterday with this show has the recent Baylor football recruiting surge and momentum given you more confidence going forward in Dave Aranda and the program? If yes or no, let us know and why. And if you were already confident, just tell us that. 88.5% of 191 votes said they are more confident after the recent surge in recruiting. Of course, I missed my chance to call in. Oh, that's, of course, T-Rex. Also, John was one of the ones, not yet. Look at Texas, need to prove it on the field first. And we told you about what Chris said. Not yet, wait for the dust to settle, see who actually signs in. Thank you, Armstrong. See who actually signs in December.
I've just had this thought in my head of what that crowd will do in McLean Stadium the first time they roll an offense out there that can actually put together a drive and maybe even do it back-to-back. Like, man.
Stop!
Maybe even do two drives in a row that are successful. Can you imagine what that crowd will do just to see that?
I'll straight up faint if they can run the ball 3 times in a row and get a first down.
Yeah.
Armstrong, capture what Paul just said. Let's get that to Eric Mateos and Jeff Grimes.
I have no problem.
No,
I would walk in and tell them in the face, like, if you guys can run the ball 3 times in a row and get a first down, that's.
Would you have a moment?
I'd have a moment. Yeah, I'd have a moment.
Yeah, I mean, because
I'd be like, oh my god. Well,
if you were to script a drive and say, hey, you have to run the ball 3 times, we know it's going to be 3rd and 8. You know, I mean, that's just, and I'm not even trying to pile on. I'm just being as genuine as I can be in my criticism of what we watched the last couple of years, or really just last year. I mean, but that's the case. You know, you run it on first down, you're like, oh God, 2nd and long. Run it on 2nd and down. That's going to be 3rd and long, and that's just how it went. So, you know, there's some excitement, and I just think that, you know, you get out in that first game, and that should be a game that you win pretty easily, you would think. But, yeah, if you just string some, like, competent offense together, we know the defense should be pretty good. I think people would lose their minds with excitement just to see something that works and makes sense. And because, like, it was so odd last year to just leave games or leave watching games like we had to most of the time and just think like there's no way like it's going to be that bad next week, right? Like there's just no way they'd watch that film and go to practices and like don't just massively change things and come up with ideas, and then they'd roll out there the next week and it was the exact same thing. And then you're like, there's just no way by like week 4 or 5 that they're not somewhat better. And the same thing. Yep. And the same thing. And it was like it was insanity is what it was to watch the same just pathetic offense week after week after week with no changes, no electricity, no nothing, man. It was mind-boggling. And so you just show a little bit of competence on that side of the football. I think people lose their minds.
I think that we would not know maybe even how to cover that.
You know what I'm saying, though, is like you'd watch a bad performance and you're like, they have to be better next week, right? Like that has to be motivation. That has to be like film that they can watch. And it would be the same exact thing. And it was just like, what is going on here? Yeah. I couldn't believe it. But I have a lot of confidence in this coaching staff. I do. I think they've gotten the guys together that are going to work well together. And this time that they're having right now in recruiting, I think, is showing of what this staff can do that's been put together off the field. I'm excited to see on the field and excited to see what they keep doing this summer.
When we come back, SicEm365 Radio, the 4 o'clock hour, Mickey Spagnola at 4:30, Craig, 4:45, off the radar. Paul's top 5 at 5:55. I'm getting better about calling it the segment that it is at the end of the show. Andrew Billings and a foundation the Billings family's putting together and has started. But coming up next, an hour and 23 minutes of Lawrence Elkins and Don Trull in the studio earlier today with Armstrong, Sims. I was here conducting the interview with Marquise and also A-Rob as well. And a sneak peek of it, a little bit of it, coming up at 4, SicEm365 Radio.
Travel is back. Hit the road with big savings during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. The road is waiting. Explore America again in the space, safety, and luxury of a Buick SUV. And during the Richard Carr summer savings event, current Buick or GMC owners get 16% off a new 2021 Buick Encore, 13% on Encore GX, 9% on midsize Buick Envision, or 13% on a full-size Buick Enclave. Summer travel is back and the summer savings event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist's office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
That one picked off, and it's a pick six by Jalen Petrie.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Well, this is what we love to do. Look back, reminisce, think about the incredible legends of Baylor athletics. And on occasion, we'll bring you, of course, Grant Taft was our debut. And today, we're joined by 2 great Baylor legends, college football Hall of Famers, Don Trull and Lawrence Elkins in studio at SicEm365. Man, it's great to have you, both of you. I want to start with Coach Bridgers. How far ahead of his time was he compared to where college football was at that time, and really what it took to finally a lot of people understand you can throw the football like that?
You want me to answer first, Lawrence? I'll answer that. Yeah, that was one reason I came to Baylor. I grew up in Oklahoma City, Southeast High School, and our high school coach was kind of ahead of his time. We ran the spread, which became shotgun formation and all, besides split T and all. And I threw in high school 234 passes, which is a lot for 10 games in high school back in 1958. And I was looking at a couple other schools, and then I heard John Bridgers from Baltimore. Johnny Unitas was always my idol, and said they were going to throw the ball, put in the pro offense at Baylor. So I came, and we put the pro offense in. Probably in Raymond, Lawrence can dwell on this more with Raymond Berry. since he was on the Colts, where John Bridges was the offensive line coach when they won the world championship back in, I guess it's 58. And he came to our every spring training while I was in school, as well as Lawrence. I think he came the same way. And I probably learned more about the passing game from Raymond than any coach or anybody. And we were very wide open, and I think probably more than anything, we use an audible system, which that I was very comfortable with it. And I would say I probably audibled. Lawrence can say what he thinks, but I think 60% of the time, maybe more, we audible. We'd come to the line of scrimmage and we saw what they were giving us, and we had a play that we could run that would take advantage of what alignment they were in. And you said you started out with the question about how much ahead of his time. I think 50 years at least.
You were at Brownwood High School under the great Gordon Wood. Darrell Royal wanted you to come to Texas, and yet he thought, Gordon Wood, that Baylor would be a better fit for you as well because of exactly what he was talking about?
Yes, he absolutely did. Darrell Royal just showed up at my house the weekend before with half his coaching staff, and I was leaning toward Texas. And Gordon on that Monday called me in his office, and he said, "Son, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but here's the circumstances. You're not going to get much bigger, and you're not going to play defensive end. And if you're lucky, you'll catch 10 passes your whole career at Texas." He says, "There's a coach at Baylor that has a wide open offense that I think you're suited to. And don't you tell Royal I said this, because we're good friends, but you think about going to Baylor." And I changed my mind and went to Baylor.
Well, and of course, the rest is history, both in the College Football Hall of Fame and many other things. And we're going to get to certain moments, games, the good, the bad, and sometimes the disappointing. But you told me, Lawrence, about what Coach Trull, or Don Trull would do, basically was almost a coach in the field, that in the huddle, he would change the plays, not just the audible at the line of scrimmage, but you told me that he knew the offense as well as anybody.
I mean, they'd send in somebody with a play, and he kind of looked at him, looked at the huddle, and he said, "Well, here's what we're going to call." I don't know if Coach Bridges knew that, he might get a little livid, but Don was that smart, though, and he might have been the only quarterback in the country at the time in college that was able to do his own thing, about play calling.
Don, what do you think then when you see quarterbacks today with these wristbands? At every level. There's a big thing, they flip it. I understand maybe the offenses, I don't know if they're more complex now than ever before, but what are your thoughts about that?
Well, it's the changing times. There's a lot of things that have changed from when Lawrence and I both played, which some of them I agree with and some of them I don't agree with, but once they put it in, everybody uses it. I think it's unfortunate a lot of college kids coming out that don't call their own plays, and I don't know if there is hardly any that calls their own plays that are in any of the big conferences nowadays. And it just, like I say, I learned a lot from Raymond Berry, and of course from our coaches. Chuck Purvis was a quarterback coach, and it's just advantage. It's just like defensive backs and offensive linemen blocking, how much harder it was to block back when we played. An offensive lineman's hands couldn't leave his chest. And, nowadays they can push him and do everything. It's a much easier game on people that play, whether it's the offensive line, whether it's the receivers, because the defensive backs can't bump and run them as much as they used to could do, and it's just it's a different game. It really is.
I had somebody tell me the other day that the two of you made watching and following and being at Baylor football fun again.
I don't know. I was out there taking a beating. I don't know how much fun it was, especially when Don threw the ball about 15 feet over my head. But I'm kidding you. Anyway.
You brought that up to me.
Yeah.
Was it TCU? The TCU game, it was like 28-26, and you're on their 25-yard line.
Yeah,
and you guys had some amazing moments, but that was not well over your head. That was just, you remember that pass, Don?
Remember that last out, and we were inside the 20, and I missed it on 4th down.
Well, I don't think I threw it high. I don't think I ever.
No, I didn't say that. I said it barely grazed my fingertips. Now,
I do remember one ball that I did throw high, which I hate to remember. Is when we played Texas, and we may get into that later. But
well, we can get that out of the way.
It was
now.
our last drive. We were behind 7-zip, and we had. If you can ever watch the film. We went up and down the field. We never could get it in the end zone. We outgained them in yardage, et cetera, and then we were able to get a fumble late in the game and moved down to the 20-yard line, and we had like 4th down, and I had a drop back pass, and James Ingram was another receiver, and which was an advantage. Elkins was so good and made the defense so conscious of him they'd usually double team him or roll to his side. And it'd leave the other receivers one-on-one, and Ingram was one-on-one, and Ingram was a converted quarterback from Odessa that played under Fry, and then came to Baylor with Coach Fry, and he was in the end zone waving his arms, and he was wide open, and I jerked it back to throw it, and Staley Faulkner was a defensive lineman. They had 2 great defensive linemen, and Staley Faulkner on one side and Scott Appleton on the other. Mm-hmm. And Faulkner jumped up, and I kind of double clutched it and stepped up, and with my momentum stepping up and threw it, I threw it about 3 feet over Ingram's head. And Jim Hudson was a safety. And, of course, I became friends with him later. He played with the Jets and all. He's not with us anymore, unfortunately. But every time I'd see him, he'd say, I had him covered. He wouldn't have. I'd have got it. He was 10 yards away from him. But that's the one pass I remember probably more than anything.
That was Duke Carlisle who intercepted the pass.
Yeah.
Lawrence, did you slip on that play, or were you open, or you just?
I was open for a while, but he closed the gap really quickly. I don't know. He's a heck of an athlete. People don't realize that. And he was on it in a hurry. And another thing that we heard later is Ken Hodge at the line of scrimmage, our tight end, and he was a good one. That was Duke's boy. It was his man. And Hodge slipped down when the ball was snapped to him, and so that gave Carlisle a chance to look for somebody else.
Yeah, they had worked all week. I talked to a couple of guys, Hudson one of them being, and the rule was if your man didn't come out for any reason, know where Elkins is and go to wherever that area is and help double team him with whoever is on him. And sure enough, that's what happened. Hodge got bumped and knocked down, slipped down, and Carlisle immediately turned and ran. But if you look at a picture, there's a picture. I never saw it. I saw the picture. I didn't see it in the dining hall at UT. That was on the wall forever in there of the picture where Lawrence's hands are like this. The ball is right up here, and Duke Carlisle is short of him, and his hands are in between the ball and Lawrence's hands. So it was a hell of a play.
They won the national championship that year.
First one.
Somebody asked me this. I put up a note on the SicEm365 in the premium section. If there's a question you could ask Lawrence or Don, what would it be? One of them was, had you scored, let's say you caught it, 7-6, you go for 2?
I would have probably, if we had a timeout and huddled, we didn't have that great a field goal kicker, okay? Extra point kicker, whatever you want to call it. I think we'd have gone for 2. Because earlier, before when Lawrence, I believe, was a freshman, I was a redshirt, or maybe he wasn't there yet. I got to make the trip to the Gator Bowl. The Bridgers team played in '60. We played Florida. And it was the end of the game, and we scored, and it was 7-6, and they went for 2. And Ronnie Goodwin played the position that Lawrence played, and Ronnie ran a 6-yard out, and Ronnie Stanley threw the ball and hit him in the hands, and it just went right through his hands. So I feel like that's probably what we'd have done, and that's probably what we would have ran. But, history is history. Because of the fact Texas had recruited you and wanted you, did that make that even more difficult? You had a chance to beat them? I don't know. I didn't even think about it that way. I remember we lined up for an introduction before the game, and Olin Underwood, later judge down in Conroe, we had become good friends, off season. And I looked over to him and I said, "How you doing, Olin?" He growled at me and spit on the ground. I said, "It's going to be a long day." And then one more thing of that fast.
we're going up the steps out of the dressing room onto the field, and on every alternating in blood red steps, one said kill Trull, and the other said kill Elkins. And I thought, my goodness, what are we going to do?
Well, if that happened today with social media, can you imagine? Oh, my God, it'd be the lead story.
I'd file the lawsuit.
Oh,
yeah. It'd been a hue and cry somewhere.
You mentioned Coach Bridgers, and then Coach Taft comes along later on and resurrects Baylor, the miracle on the Brazos. And then it was a long drought. Coach Briles gets them back-to-back Big 12 championships and competing at a national level. And then, of course, all hell broke loose. And then Matt Rule, 1-11 to a Sugar Bowl, almost won a Big 12 title. Now you have Dave Aranda, 2-7, and trying to turn things around. They've had a nice run with recruiting. What is it about Baylor that they're always resilient? Sometimes they can't help themselves, but what is it about the resiliency of Baylor football?
I don't know if you call it resiliency. I think it's just kind of like a cycle, when you go through bad times and you got to get the right guy at the right time with the right players. It's just one of those things. If you throw the ball, you got to have a good quarterback, you got to have receivers. If you run the ball, you got to have good linemen and you got to have good running backs. And it's just cyclical, like that. And fortunately, Baylor's been able to flip it. Once they have a bad year, hopefully they'll be able to flip it again with Aranda. I've got Lawrence and I have season tickets together at the game, so we're hoping it turns out a little better than last year.
Lawrence, the national championship in men's basketball. Did you feel like you were as much a part of that as anything because of?
I did, really. I got all excited. I felt I belonged to Baylor. And they put a lot for everybody else on that table by winning it, especially the way they beat Gonzaga that last game. They treated him like a step kid.
Yeah, they did. They beat him up badly. It's like Coach Few after the game, a few days later, weeks later, he's like, why were they so mad at us? Well, because everyone was talking about Gonzaga. That was a fun team. That team was tough as nails. They were some dogs. I mean, angry pit bulls, and they played like it.
Yeah, and when I saw Gonzaga play U of H, of course I live in Houston now, I knew Baylor was going to win. If I was a betting man and had a lot of money, I would have put it on Baylor all the time because it's just U of H couldn't handle them, and or U of H, Gonzaga couldn't handle U of H. They almost, came close enough to beating them, and with their defense, and I knew Baylor's defense was twice as good as U of H's defense, and they had some great players and a great coach. Drew's done great, and it's just it's going to be interesting to see how they do next year because they're losing a bunch of guys.
Yeah, they are. A question for you. I know we've talked about Texas and a couple other. We'll do a little rapid fire here, then we'll go back to some other things. Most memorable game you've ever played in?
Blue Bonnet Bowl, 63, when we played LSU. I think LSU was ranked 8th or 9th in the nation. And we played down in Houston in Rice Stadium, and it was about, 25, 28 degrees, something like that.
It was cold.
And misting. And we had a great, they double team Elkins, and Ingram ended up being the most valuable lineman because they were all doubled up on Lawrence and everything. And I think Ingram caught like 12 or 13 passes that game. So we were able to adjust.
You had 12 catches against Texas. You had 10 against A&M in a game as well. And was there a game that was your most memorable? Was it Blue Bonnet Bowl?
Yeah, it was one of them. I think one of them was the TCU game when I was a sophomore. I scored 3 that day.
Ran a punt back, right?
The ball, ran a punt back 92 yards, and I didn't know I could run that far.
You exhausted?
And TCU didn't know I could either.
They wouldn't have punted it to you if they knew that, right?
No, sideline Trull was one of them hollered, "Don't catch the ball, let it go." And then they was hollering, and I turned around and ran it all the way back. Because it caught the ball on the 8-yard line going away from the kicker.
Oh, so you were over your shoulder type?
Yeah. And turned around and went all the way back. But Oh, Ingram got a good block on that one. Boy, he just wasted a couple of horn frogs.
Probably also, not to interrupt, but I think for both of us, Texas Tech game our senior year was one that was, because we were behind like 9 points with maybe 5 minutes left or something like that, and we scored twice to beat them.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Travel is back, and they've got great deals on the lot right now at Richard Carr to make sure you're in a comfortable and safe vehicle while you hit the highways and byways this hot summer. Lots of savings. You can get back on the road right now with a total line of options from Buick. Various models, various makes, but all of them coming with space, safety, and luxury. Richard Carr has Buick SUVs all priced to move right now, and current Buick or GMC owners can get 16% off new 2021 Encores, 13% on Encore GXs, 9% on midsize Buick Envisions, or 13% on full-size Buick Enclaves. They've also got a lot loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks, all of them priced to move during the summer savings event, with multiple cars and trucks priced under $230 a month for qualified buyers, and each pre-owned vehicle does go through a 172-point inspection before it hits the lot. So with dozens of lenders, Richard Carr says yes when others say no, and 100% credit approval is always the goal. And Richard Carr, of course, is your local hometown dealership. They want to give you a chance to earn your business and do so by offering great prices, free oil changes on new cars and trucks, plus superior service after the sale. So come by and take a test drive. Check out all these great deals on not only new vehicles, but pre-owns as well, or they can bring the test drive to you. It's a summer savings event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
And Prescott on the keeper, walks in, touchdown, Dallas.
It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
We get Mickey this week, and then he takes a pretty earned break before the wood chipper of a schedule begins, with right before Cowboys training camp, and eventually, of course, everything else between now and if there's ever an off week in the NFL. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Mickey, thank you very much for your time. Do you feel like the Cowboys' backup quarterback is currently on their roster?
I wouldn't put your money on it.
Okay.
I think they still got wandering eyes that they keep kind of scanning the field out there. And, they haven't come up with much. I think the last guy they worked out was a guy by the name of Kate Cookus, former Northern Arizona quarterback, went undrafted, and I heard he had a good workout. But again, if they're going to bring somebody in, you would probably want somebody that has more experience than the 3 guys they have. And that wouldn't take much, David, because of the 3 guys, they've totaled 2 starts in their NFL career, and both of those starts were last year. So, and there's still a chance, if they remain patient, because obviously whatever's out there now hasn't really caught their attention, that maybe a veteran quarterback during training camp gets released. All these teams that brought in first round quarterbacks, they might say, you know what, this guy's a little better than we thought. We might not need this veteran guy as a safeguard. So I think there's always that possibility. Now, the other thing that you have to consider is they don't have a heck of a lot of money available under the salary cap at this point. And they might even, just to do normal operations during the season, might have to restructure another contract. So whatever they get, it's going to have to be for, no more than maybe $2 million base salary on a 1-year deal. And I don't know if somebody wants to come here, because some other teams might have backup quarterback needs. So I think it's still to be determined.
All right, Mickey, I know that Randy Gregory's going to start. DeMarcus Lawrence is going to start. Leighton Vander Esch will start. And Trayvon Diggs is going to start. After that, I'm starting to get a little foggy. Do you have an idea of maybe not where they're exactly going to play, but who's going to start on defense?
No, I think you're probably accurate there. And, even Leighton Vander Esch, if we include him as one of those starters, what spot's he starting in? Is he in the middle, weak side? But I think he's one of them, because I think, until Micah Parsons proven, I think Leighton Vander Esch is the best linebacker on this team. But you're right. After that, I think that's what we go to training camp to find out. I think there's going to be a whole lot of competition for not only starting jobs, but rotation jobs. Because if you think about it, I think from what I've taken from Dan Quinn, he's a big believer in matchups. And so you may start the game, but if a team's doing this, we might do that. If they've got players that I don't think my starters can match up with from the beginning. I might bring in another guy. And he has talked about having options. And I think they have options, but that's going to play out in training camp. And I think you're exactly right. You know, if you look at the offense, you know, probably we know every starter that they're going to have. But from a defensive standpoint, I think it's up for grabs other than those 3 or 4 guys.
Mickey, do you view this as a crucial year for Ezekiel Elliott?
I think that, I mean, to the point where, you know, if he doesn't have a good year, they're going to cut him. I don't think he's in jeopardy of that. And I think the thing you got to consider, and I wrote about it on Friday, is the fact that the Cowboys' offensive line wasn't very good last year. And, you know, and if the offensive line wasn't very good protecting quarterbacks, then what makes we think that they did a good job run blocking? And they didn't. And when you have that type of talent missing the amount of games they missed, you know, the running back's probably going to struggle. And, you know, I'm not big on all this analytic stuff, but I did see some stat that talked about the percentage of plays he was hit, you know, at the 1 yard line. I mean, 1 yard into the carry or at the line of scrimmage. And it's amazing. So if the offensive line's not playing well, probably is your running back's going to struggle. And I understand that he had a couple fumbles early, a couple of those where he was trying to do too much. But if you go back and look at some of the stuff, he turned 1 yard games into 3. And I know that's not great, but they struggled run blocking. And here's the other thing, Craig. If you're a defensive coordinator and there's no Dak Prescott and there's no really top offensive lineman on the field, who are you worried about stopping? Mm-hmm. Probably Ezekiel Elliott. And you're just going to say, I'll take my chances with these backup quarterbacks and the receivers, but Ezekiel Elliott's not going to beat me. And I think that lended to their problems running the football last year.
So the Combine has been in Indianapolis forever. The NFL Draft, of course, it was in New York forever. And eventually that's now been moved around, and it's kind of each year it changes. The Combine looks like it's going to be up for grabs for everybody. How much does the star, or even perhaps even the monster of all, the AT&T Stadium, how does that play, you think, with Jerry and the Cowboys hosting the Combine?
Oh, I think they probably would like to do that, but there's another level to just the facility you actually do the workouts in. You got to have the medical capabilities where this thing is held to be able to go through, 300 and some physicals and all the testing they do. And, you know, in Indianapolis, they got this thing down to a science with the medical people that participate in the Combine. And when I've talked to, you know, the Cowboys medical people, doctors, trainers, whatever, in the past before any of this came up, you know, they hailed the Indianapolis's downtown ability to take care of all the medical stuff that they have to do. Now, you know, at the Star, if they did it at Ford Center, well, there's a Baylor Scott and White rehab facility across the street that's probably pretty capable of doing some of it, but I don't know if they're capable of doing it all. And so I think that factors into this idea of moving the Combine. So it's not so much the workout spot, but it's where do we house all these guys? You guys have been downtown Indianapolis probably.
Yep.
And there's all the hotels and it's walking distance to the stadium. You know, they don't have that in Arlington. Somewhat in Frisco, it's getting better. But those are other considerations that they have to take into account when they decide if they're going to move the Combine. That is just a pretty smooth operation in Indianapolis.
Yeah, Mickey, I wonder, well, especially for an event that's not attended by fans, like outside what money they think they're going to get from it.
Yeah, unless they decide, that's going to be part of it too, you know. It's like, well, let's have some attendance at this other than just the scouts and agents and things like that. So that could be another thing, you know, before, you know, they weren't big on letting too many people into the draft. And then when they started moving that around, all of a sudden that turned into be a pretty big fan event. So, they've got the capability and probably the money to, pull something off like that, but they've got to take into account the medical part of the combine, which is one of the more important things that I think take place there, along with the interviews that teams try to conduct with the players.
Mickey, you have covered Jerry since day one, and you have been around the Mavericks as far as in the city of Dallas and watching and covering sports there since Mark Cuban took over the Mavericks. How different are those two, or are they very much the same?
Well, I think the difference is from Jerry's standpoint, he has leaned on family members to basically make the most important decisions on that team, along with the head coach. But it's not like, he's got to go through a layer of other people to come to some sort of decision. They can go over to Steven's house and they can figure it out, or just walk down the hallway. So I think in that aspect, it is different. I don't know how, I don't think we all thought Mark Cuban was such hands-on, but maybe he is. And maybe this has been an indication, but, just listening to Rick Carlisle or whatever, reading some of his remarks today, he sounds like he was pretty indignant about whatever was going on and decided, I want out of here. So, yeah, they've got a thing on their hands now. It's going to, they keep saying, well, we're going to hire a GM before we hire a head coach, but Cuban's got to sign off on, whatever. He's going to have to sign off on the GM. He's going to sign off on whoever. If the GM makes a decision, he has to sign off on who the head coach is. So, it's somewhat different, but not totally different from, I think, what we've seen now over these last couple of weeks there on kind of the ladder of decision making that's going on with the Mavericks, and this is going to be an interesting one to watch.
Mickey, you've covered the Cowboys a long time, and I think one thing fans don't see is how organizations kind of morph and change. And look, Jerry Jones is still pretty much the same dude that bought the team in 1989, But I do think a lot of fans still, just when they see him, see 1989 Jerry Jones, just like you watch a television show and that actor is always going to be that to you, no matter what he does after that. What has changed with Jerry that you've noticed, especially over the time, that would be different than Jerry day one that a lot of fans still cannot get past in their minds?
Well, I think Jerry day one was probably different than Jerry year 5 because he learned the NFL. He was pretty much in those first few years at the mercy of his coaching staff, and then finding people in the scouting department that he trusted. So he leaned on Jimmy for several years, and then when Jimmy was gone, I think that he, by osmosis of being around it, being a smart guy, kind of knowing the game of football from playing in college, I think he picked some things up. But I think that the way it's changed now, maybe within the last 5 years, is from a more of a day-to-day operation. Stephen Jones, he might as well be the general manager. I know Jerry has the title, but Stephen and Will McClay kind of running the player personnel part of it. And then, of course, before they make any major decision or whatever decision they do make, they run it by him, and he'll sign off. But I think from a day-to-day operation, those guys, in conjunction with whoever's the head coach, they've been scouring the waiver wire. They've been, providing Jerry the information for the draft, and I think that's probably some that has changed over the last, like I said, 5 or 6 years from a day-to-day operation.
Mickey, who's more important health-wise? And I think Zach Martin's last year was more obviously that's the exception. He has not had long-term issues like Tyron Smith has struggled with at times because he's getting older, plays a physical sport. But Who has to stay healthy, Tyron Smith or Zach Martin?
I'm not allowed to say both.
No. I mean, you obviously that's the right answer, but just if you could pick
well,
one or
let's
the other.
let's put it this way. To me, Zach Martin, not because he plays guard, because they better have it in their mind that if one of those tackles gets hurt, he's the backup tackle. I'll take my chances with somebody else playing guard, like they did it towards the end of the year with Connor McGovern. They finally decided, okay, this guy's ready to play. But I don't think that they can waste time with some veteran backup that somebody else didn't want, and you bring in and say, okay, that's my swing tackle. Because that hurt them last year. They should have made the decision a lot earlier to move Zach Martin out to tackle. So for that aspect, I think because he can do two things for you, then it's Zach Martin. But I think if you talk to the medical people, they think Tyron Smith's surgery to repair the disc in his neck is going to take care, it's going to have a trickle-down effect and certainly relieve him of some of the back problems he also was having. And he even said it himself. He felt like he was in the best physical shape of his life, meaning not from a conditioning standpoint, but just all the things that had bothered him. He thought, the back was tied to the neck. So, they seem to have full confidence that Tyron and La'el Collins are ready to go. I've seen La'el Collins work out, and he's running. I mean, he was working out with Dak and doing the same stuff Dak was doing. But within reason, right? He's a lineman. He's not a quarterback. But the running part, the drills, he looks like he's good to go. So at this point, their confidence in those offensive tackles, I think, is reflected in what they did in the draft, right? They didn't draft the first round offensive lineman. They didn't take one until the fourth round, which is about where I thought they should take it if they had confidence in those offensive tackles being ready to go. And at this point, even though they didn't go through any of the OTA practices or the minicamp practices, that was by design. Those guys didn't, in their way, you're not going to win the NFC East in April and May and June, but I want them in tip-top shape by time July 21st comes around, or July 22nd when they have their first practice in Oxnard. And by all indications, they feel both of those guys will be ready to go. And Zach Martin obviously being ready to go also with that strained calf that he suffered.
Mickey, thank you very much. Enjoy your break. We can't wait. That means when you get back, we're on the verge of training camp and also the NFL season, of course, soon after that. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com with us on Thursdays at 4:30. When we come back, we'll hear Craig Smoak and Off the Radar. I just saw a video on Twitter. Magic Johnson, I'm on vacation. It shows him curling some weights. And look what he's on, like some yacht that he probably himself owns.
You
right?
say some yacht, like there's just
like Jerry Jones level yacht.
They're just like us, guys.
Yeah,
they're just like us.
That's like the Wolf of Wall Street's yacht.
We'll be back. Craig's Off the Radar next on SicEm365 Radio.
Lance Donaldson describes himself as a local realtor with a unique perspective. And look, I can tell you that's true about Lance, about pretty much everything, not just the realty game. He's a unique guy with a unique perspective, and he's going to bring that to helping you find a new home and selling the one that you're in. That's what Lance does. He's a great listener. He's a great human being. He's a great guy who's you're going to like being around and looking at houses with. And believe me, the market is super crazy right now. It's a seller's market, so that means you might get a lot for the house you're selling. It means you might also not get as much of a deal on the house you're buying if you're not careful. Well, Lance Donaldson can help you navigate that terrain and get the best deal on a house and the best price for the house that you're selling. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
It's the 4th of July sales event going on at Allen Samuels on the new 2021 1500 Ram Lone Star Quad Cab trucks. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve with total values up to $5,250 or 0% for 72 months plus $1,000. Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come see the Ram Lone Star Quad Cab during the 4th of July sales event. Visit Allen Samuels today or online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel at the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
Welcome into Off the Radar here on SicEm365 Radio, taking a look at some stories of interest or just stories that we don't normally get a chance to talk about because we're busy with topics like Baylor or the Cowboys, what have you. This one is, first note though, is Baylor related because we just got this a little while ago. We already knew that Baylor baseball was going to take part in next year's Shriners Classic down in Houston, you know, the annual big tournament that they have. Well, now we know the field. Baylor baseball will be taking part in next year's Shriners Classic along with LSU, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, and UCLA. So that is your field. And obviously Tennessee and Texas just got done playing each other in the College World Series. UT eliminated Tennessee. So that is who they will face coming up next year for all you Baylor baseball fans. The NHL Seattle Kraken have named their first head coach. The Seattle Kraken expansion franchise is gearing up to launch, and Dave Hackstol is the first head coach in Seattle Kraken team history. And you got to love the Yahoo write-up on this because they say he wasn't the public's first choice, but he is for the Seattle Kraken. And then later on in the same article, they say Hackstall comes from the Toronto Maple Leafs where he served as an assistant coach, blah, blah, blah. He has never been part of an NHL franchise which has achieved any reasonable level of success, as each team he's been part of has failed to advance beyond the first round. However, he had a lot of success in college, is what they basically say. So, the Seattle Kraken have named their first head coach.
I'm very excited about their team name. It's a great team name.
Yeah, it is.
They've got pretty sick-looking jerseys and logos, I think.
It's an anchor with the S. Okay.
Well, yeah, but also it's like there's a Kraken, wrapped around it.
I think it's pretty cool. Seattle's starting to get its pro sports, kind of going. They'll probably get the Sonics back at some point in the next few years, but just interesting because we don't see a lot of expansion anymore. Pretty full to the gills, quite frankly, with teams, but there is going to be a new one in the NHL, and now they have named their head coach. Team USA Basketball has announced their roster for the Olympics. Kevin Durant, Damian Lillard, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal, Chris Middleton, Zach LaVine, Bam Adebayo, Draymond Green, Drew Holiday, Kevin Love, and the Pistons' Jeremy Grant. James Harden was going to take part, but then ended up pulling out. Obviously, was dealing with some issues with the hamstring injury, so he pulled out this week. So that's going to be the roster for Team USA. I have to say they're probably heavy favorites for the gold, but they will not have, it's kind of interesting who won't be on the team. No LeBron James, no Anthony Davis, no Steph Curry, no Kyrie Irving, no Jimmy Butler, no Donovan Mitchell, no Chris Paul. And then there were a bunch of guys who didn't make the cut, and that included Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Trae Young, Zion Williamson, Julius Randle, amongst some others. So that is going to be I don't even think they go Dream Team anymore. We just don't even use that phrase. Sometimes it pops up, but that's going to be your Dream Team for this year.
It's not anymore. And look, we're going to win the gold probably. And that's what happened. And I like that we are going to win the gold, but I miss the chance that we might not win it. There was one time that we didn't in this whole time, but the 92 Dream Team was supposed to be a one-time message. If you're going to play with your pros, we're going to play with ours. And, oh, by the way, ours are Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and John Stockton. I mean, that's our team. So good luck. And that was supposed to be the one-time message. And then it got perverted after that to me.
Yeah, then it became just sort of hack, really. I mean, the Dream Team 2.0 and all this other stuff. But no, the original Dream Team was the Dream Team, and there will probably never be a roster like that ever again. But, yeah, I mean, as far as star power, I mean, all these guys are stars, are well-known, but, comparing it to, the Dream Team, you had, 7-8 guys who were all, the faces of franchises. I mean, it's pretty much Kevin Durant. It's pretty much what it is. Without having a Steph or a LeBron or those types of guys, it's pretty much Kevin Durant and then a bunch of other really good players. So we'll see what happens, but that is going to be the Team USA roster.
Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, and I haven't seen the exact quote, but this
I've seen the exact quote.
This is making the rounds that Jalen Rose mentioned, and again, Kevin Love is on the team because of tokenism. Basically, they needed a white guy.
Yeah, well, in 2016, they sent an all-black team. So that's, again, 24 hours at Jay Williams and Jalen Rose saying things that were patently historically untrue.
By the way, Jay Williams tried to say he was hacked yesterday, 4 hours after his tweet came out. What a dork. You are a dork, Jay Williams, and just admit that you said something stupid and you got caught, because that does happen on social media. People pop off and say something dumb.
That's what
no one hacked your account to make a wrong Celtics tweet.
That's what Clarence Hill did when he said when the Dolphins hired Brian Flores, and he put up a tweet like no minorities in this hiring cycle, and it was like hello.
Well, going back to Jalen Rose, he's mad that a white guy's on the team. I know how I would be received if I were to make a comment from the other position. If it was reversed, now there would never be an all-white Team USA basketball team.
Can they win it all?
No, probably. Well, I don't know, man. Who would he? Yeah, well, I doubt it. I don't know, but
that's another story.
But that's just Jalen Rose being an ass, quite frankly. There's a lot of things you can point to and call out racism, but being upset or whatever he is, miffed about the fact that a white guy made the team and calling it tokenism. Man, if the shoe was on the other foot,
oh my God,
no one would quit talking about it for 2 months, and that is the double standard that I'm so sick and tired of, and I'm not going to just sit back and not say anything about it anymore. So screw you, Jalen Rose, trying to pop off, Those comments are toxic, and we know how much you would be crying if somebody said something from the opposite stance.
I will say this as a guy that doesn't study all of the NBA, but Kevin Love is an average player now, right? Is he?
Yeah, he's not that good. I mean, there's a point there, but like to make it about race is where he's being an ass. I mean, it's just not even necessary. Like, why even create that perception?
He can. Because he can. There'll be no consequences.
Right. I know. And if it's the double standards are ridiculous, and I just think that's a stupid comment by Jalen Rose. So whatever. The NFL has approved alternate helmets beginning in 2022. They sent a memo to clubs today saying teams will be allowed to wear 2 different helmets beginning in the 2022 season. Previously, they were only allowed 1, and that was for safety reasons. But I guess they thought, one helmet, one fit, it's going to be perfect and you never have to change it. But now they're going to loosen it up, and so you're going to see alternate helmets and color rush and all this other stuff that's going to go probably pretty wild.
Throwbacks.
Yeah, throwbacks.
Is that the Cowboys' white helmet with the blue star?
Yeah, that's the thought. And, because their other helmet
Why did they get away
changed.
from those?
Because of the one helmet rule. They just let them do they haven't done throwbacks in a while. And the other reason was instead of doing throwbacks, they were going to do the color rush, which supposedly match the helmets that they're using. And so they could or couldn't, but that was their big thing. The NFL will do something every year that will show you, like, there are people who will buy this ugly shirt. Like those Steelers throwback jerseys that look like bumblebees. Like they're
somebody's out there going, that's awesome.
Honestly, if you ever see the crowd at a Steelers game, you can see the pockets of the people that bought that jersey, because they'll buy anything Steelers. Or some of the color rush jerseys that honestly you would not wear on the street, even if you're trying not to get hit by a car. That people will buy them.
Yeah. Go ahead. Okay. All right. The Steelers one's gross. Yeah. But oh well.
Rick Carlisle's talked about the Mavericks job opening, saying earlier today, it's hard to put an exact finger on it. It's just a feeling that I had that it would be mutually beneficial. My hope is Jason Kidd will be the next coach of the Mavs because he and Luka have so many things in common as players. I just think that it would be a great situation for Luka, and I think it would be an amazing situation for Jason. I'm the only person on the planet that's coached both of those guys and that knows about all of their special qualities as basketball players. To me, that would just be a great marriage, but that's just an opinion. So many have already claimed that he's trying to tank the Mavs and ruin their franchise by advocating for Jason Kidd. Some find it just weird that he's the former coach and he's advocating for somebody. But Jason Kidd is one of those that has been mentioned just because of, obviously, he played in Dallas and, could coach Luka and all of that. He's been on the Lakers staff here recently, but Rick Carlisle vouches for Jason Kidd as the next head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. So we'll see what happens there.
I don't know if that helps or hurts you.
I know, right? I don't know.
I guess we'll see.
Darius Geis, former Redskins, former Washington football team running back. He got dismissed last year because of an incident with a girlfriend. He has had charges dropped, domestic violence charges that were the reason why he got cut from Washington have now been dropped.
Like the next day he was dropped.
Yeah, it was like pretty much right away. You could tell they were fed up with his BS, basically, and they were like, all right, final straw. They cut him. He was arrested last August on 3 charges of assault and battery, 1 count destruction of property, and a felony count of a strangulation, which was accused by his girlfriend. And then he had separate instances he was accused of domestic violence. But, he got released the day of his arrest, and now he's had all the charges dropped. He and the accuser released a joint statement acknowledging their agreement and have found a resolution, apparently.
How much of a check did that cost him?
I don't know. I don't know how all that works. But
and he, of course, is still at the center of something going on with LSU that eventually will be a part of that investigation.
That's probably the biggest thing that he's facing right now.
Yeah.
But he was going to go to trial later this month. Now they've settled it, so he won't.
How long? You may say not. How long until somebody picks him up?
With his injury history and the pending stuff with LSU, I think it would be a while. And he wasn't. He's not been. He's not been good when he did play. Or good enough to where
his rookie year, there was a preseason game, and maybe it was his second year because I know and you could see this guy is special. And then he had a run. He's special, but.
But, you do, I'll give you the cautionary tale of Cecil Collins, who Jimmy Johnson brought to the Dolphins because, he had this this like 7-game run at LSU, and then I think at another place, and he thought, okay, well, he's clear of his legal issues, and then, you know, a year in, he gets in trouble again. So I think Darius Geis, look, if Deshaun Watson hasn't cleared his, and that's all civil trials right now, Darius Geis isn't going to clear it.
That's gone kind of quiet, hasn't it? Yeah.
Well, I mean, they don't start testifying until September, and then Deshaun Watson won't testify until after the Super Bowl. So it's just.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to take a chance, right? Especially that LSU stuff. I think that's got to get cleared up too. And you're right, his injury history just not reliable. You know, if he knows is a risky pick by Washington in the first place. It was kind of like, hey, maybe he'll be healthy and we can take advantage of that. But then he was also kind of just a jerk off the field as well. I brought up a story a couple of days ago of the basketball team out in California that threw tortillas at their mostly Hispanic opponent. Well, no surprise, Coronado High School hoops coach J.D. LaPerry has been fired from his job following a school board voting unanimously at a meeting a couple nights ago. Apparently, the coach hurled cuss words at a staffer from the other team and said, "That's why you don't talk blank. Get your kids and get the blank out of here." And of course, he had players that were throwing tortillas at the other team. So he has been fired. He did tweet out an apology and said, unfortunately, a community member brought tortillas and distributed them, which is unacceptable and racist in nature. I don't condone the behavior, la-di-da.
But never said anything he was sorry about what he said to the coach, right?
Yeah. He didn't condone the other behavior, but his behavior, he had absolutely no comment on. But just following up on that story tonight, NBA, Phoenix and LA, the Clippers and the Suns. Phoenix is up in that series 2-0, and that will be an 8 o'clock tip-off.
Chris Paul's available, maybe.
Yeah. Tip-off on ESPN. And then tonight in the NHL, it'll be Vegas at Montreal. And Montreal leads that series 3-2. If the Canadiens win that game and go to the Stanley Cup Finals, it will be their first appearance, and the first appearance by a Canadian team since 1993.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
What?
The Montreal has not been in the Cup since 1993.
You hear that, Canada? We're better at hockey than you.
Since a Canadian team or Montreal?
Montreal.
Okay, because the Canadians were like the Celtics in the 60s and 70s. Mm-hmm. They ran off a stretch there for a while where they were the dominant, like they were the Yankees of hockey for the longest of time. Okay, all right.
Yep, so I just think that's cool with
Celine Dion.
Well, no Canadian team has. I don't know because now I've lost the article. I don't know if it's. No Canadian team has won since 93.
That's crazy.
I mean, no Canadian team has won since 93, and that was Montreal. So they would.
Tampa Bay beat Vancouver.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's been in the finals, but they have not won.
Calgary,
Canada.
I'm sorry, Calgary.
Yeah, Canada has not won since 93, and that was the Canadiens, and that was the last time the Canadiens were in the finals. So they win tonight or in their next game, and they will be going back for the first time since 93. So there are a few things that are off the radar.
Again tonight, Texas and Virginia, elimination game in the College World Series. Last night, Vanderbilt beat Stanford on a walk-off wild pitch. Here's an interesting story tied into Baylor. Dede Richards, who's now a part of the New York Liberty, her brother DJ yesterday released that he's going to Mount Verde Academy. He, of course, has been playing down in the Houston area. I don't know if he was at the same school, Cypress Ranch, as Dede was at. She's with the Liberty. Also, she was honored by CBS Sports Net for her story of coming back, the inspiration. She was honored. You can go to @CBS Sports NET, and there's about a 5.5-minute story about her collision. We know this with Moon Urson. That's been told a million times, but there's all sorts of different videos with her family, with Baylor, comments from Kim Mulkey, and much more. So she was honored by CBS Sports.
That's cool. I also wanted to make mention, Celine Dion says that was a Photoshop. She is not a Vegas Golden Knights fan. She is very much in support of her home of Canada and the Montreal Canadiens, because if you didn't see it, the Golden Knights flashed up a pic that was apparently photoshopped of her in a Vegas Golden Knights uniform, and people went crazy, and Canadians were all ticked off and like calling her a traitor and everything, but she says it was a Photoshop and tried to calm the nerves there.
She's probably the most famous person ever from Montreal, and I wonder, and I'm about to drop a pun here, if it's all coming back to her now.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yes.
That went right by me as well.
That's one of her songs, Smokey.
Oh, okay. That it? All right, Craig, that's it. Thank you. Off the radar every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:45. We have the 5 o'clock hour coming up, including former Waco High and Baylor star Andrew Billings, now with the Cleveland Browns. He and his family have started a foundation to give back to the community. We'll have Andrew on at 5:20, Paul's Top 5 at 5:55. Much more to come. SicEm365 Radio.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed. Smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long business meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Finished for qualified buyer with $4,000 down to 2.9% DTNL extra. See dealer for details.
Travel is back during the summer savings event at Richard Carr. Explore America in the space and safety of an SUV or truck from Richard Carr. Savings like a 2016 Buick Encore for $148 a month, a 2017 GMC Sierra for only $318 a month, or a 2016 GMC Acadia for only $228 a month. At Richard Carr, 100% credit approval is always the goal. Log on or get here now and save at the summer savings event at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The other way, can they beat it on the fly? Flagler,
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Got a text from Daniel about pole vault team. We'll have that in a moment. Casey Lightfoot was on with us earlier, the Olympian from Baylor. Turned pro earlier this spring. Trayvon Bromell, Will London III, of course, from Waco and Baylor as well, and Casey Lightfoot and Brittany Griner. And there's still 3 women from the Baylor track and field team, maybe 3 or 4, that still have a chance to get to Tokyo. Craig brought up the premium section earlier, the Insider. Here are the titles. I can give the titles, right, Craig, on the Insider to give people, if you're not a part of it, if you've not bought.
I wouldn't give that top one word for word.
Well, there's one that's an update on a potential transfer at wide receiver. The official visit list for June 25th, 6th, and 7th, that starts, of course, tomorrow. The recruiting thread from Grayson going on this week. Then there's our interview with Casey Lightfoot. Matthew Myers' interview yesterday. A recap that Craig does every night Mack Rhodes is on. And, of course, yesterday, and some of them can be very lengthy, and yesterday was very intricate or complex, I guess you could say. And Craig will go in there and recap that and put that up. Baylor, making an impression on another Utah player. The debate, this is on the staff. Baylor's best offensive recruiter. Who? Mateos, Stuckey, Johnson, Bell, Grimes?
I don't know. I don't know enough information on who's done what with who. I mean, I guess you could take a look at the class, but the class isn't finished. No. So I don't know. That is a better debate for Colt and Grayson to have. The interview yesterday with Mack Rhodes, the audio portion of it, Ashley Hodge with his basketball, May-June men's basketball recruiting thread. This is all still pinned at the top. Cody Ladenka, visit was everything I expected and more. The tailgate information for the upcoming football season, running list of unofficial visitors, interview with Zach Pyron, and then also the guest lineup for today's show, which I pin every night. Not every night. There's like 3 out of 5 days a week when I have it all set. Pin it up on the night before, and then today we did it a little bit later on. That's just the premium at the pin section, along with so much more. But there is some juicy information. And even right below that, I saw Ashley had a note about L.J. Cryer of basketball interest as well. So that's just going on in the premium section as well. Now, back to the poll, what we asked yesterday, and the results came in 88-12. 88% feel like they have more confidence. They have a little bit more, interest or confidence in Baylor and Dave Aranda after just the last week or so of recruiting. Is that an overreaction, or is that just a Baylor homer reaction? What exactly?
88% said they're more excited because of the recent recruiting surge.
I don't know. I think that it's just people saying what they feel like. I think people are more optimistic, clearly. And right now, if you would have polled it like 6 months ago, you probably would have had more of a 50-50 type of thing. But no, I mean, and then the timing of the question, you asked that question after like 6 commits in 3 weeks. I mean, yeah, I think people are probably feeling a good vibe. So, yeah, probably some timing, but I think people are buying into what's going on and seeing how this staff has been able to, kind of pick these guys up one by one, and they like what they're seeing. So, yeah, I'm not totally surprised by that. I'd be interested from the 12% or whatever. They're probably just waiting for more information. Maybe 2% of them are never going to answer that they're optimistic because they're just those types of people and still think like 3 head coaches ago should be head coach still, you know what I mean? But, I think that's just things are positive right now.
Yeah, I don't think it's I'm sure some of it is, homer flair because until it gets really bad, people don't jump ship. But and last year was a mulligan for a lot of teams across the country. So I assume it's probably, if you ask that question of the same people in the same situation of second year coach after COVID, I think they'd be a lot of excited because if you look around, a lot of second year coaches are doing the same thing. They're starting to get recruits how you'd want to get recruits, and there's some buzz around them. And I think a lot of it is also like if you just look at what Dave Aranda's career is, last year is an aberration. I mean, I know he's not a head coach, but like as far as the talent he's brought in places and the success that teams that he's been coaching on have had, last year is very much an aberration.
Let me tell you this. I think after 2-7, there was fair to have a lot of questions. But I think the way he emphatically reacted to his coaching staff, especially on the offensive side, how he filled holes on the defensive side. I love the way they, even with a couple of games where they were smoked, how they played defense. I also think that you see, it's obvious because now they can get in front of athletes, prospects, whatever, camps, all of that, which they couldn't do at all last year. But I don't see how you could have any other answer other than be more confident because of not just the commitments, but also let's look at some of the commitments they've gotten. I know that Siraki is not a highly rated player, but even the one they got that's a 2023, and I know that we may never even see him on campus. I don't know, Isaiah Crawford, the young man from Post who's a sophomore going to be a senior. I mean, a sophomore about to be a junior. This is a guy who's got 4 stars next to his name. Does that mean anything? It does for the rating services, and it does for fans and whatever. But that's the one that starts their 2023 class. Now, they got a long way to go. Still, 10, 12 names or so for 2022. But it does seem as if the tick is up on the kind of player that's also committing to them.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Rule didn't pull in a whole lot of 4 stars. I mean, he got a few here and there, but for the most part, it was the 3-star Army that he, developed. And you can win by getting a bunch of 3. I mean, every class, except for maybe Alabama, and Ohio State, Clemson, they'll have like 2 or 3 3-stars, whereas most everybody else in the country, at least half their class is 3 stars, if not 75 to 80 to 95% of it. So there is a difference in the like handful of schools at the top and then everybody else, but you get enough 4 stars at a time, like 3 in this class and 3 in the next class and 4 in the class after that, and next thing you know, you look up and you've been developing your team and building your team, and you got 15 4-star players, on your roster that you hopefully, have living up to their billing and their potential. And we know that doesn't always happen, but, even if you strike out on one, you got 5, if you bring in 5 4-stars and one of them fails out or something, okay, fine. You still got 4 other guys. And it's been proven. People have done studies on recruiting classes and national championships, and there is a massive correlation there. If you recruit better, you usually win more games. Yep. It's pretty simple. And if you recruit super high level, you're usually in the playoff or flirting with the playoff. So the fact that Baylor's even knocked on the door of the playoff, having not really recruited lights out ever, is a testament to the coaching job that Browse did and then what Rule did, and hopefully what Dave Aranda will be able to do, but maybe he'll be able to do it and have the talent that puts them over the top. But there is a correlation, and that's why recruiting is so important, as frustrating as it might be.
You know, I want to see when I'm looking at who a recruit is being recruited by, and not to be too judgmental, but I do want to see them, because they're not going to get – I do want to see them, snake a couple people from – a big dog. I wanted to see somebody that had an offer from Oklahoma. Yeah. So that's what I want to see. I don't want to see them beating out, and no offense to Billy Napier and his program, but if you keep beating out Louisiana for guys, you start wondering, you might have some okay guys, but do you have anybody who's great, who's potentially great? And I think that's the biggest difference. So they're getting guys from other big-time Power 5 programs. I think that's what you have to look at even over the stars, because sometimes – that can be a muddled thing. But if you are getting people to come and visit you and commit to you over these things, like steal somebody from LSU, get somebody from Auburn.
All right.
Good.
Colt on June 21st, which was earlier this week. In the last 4 days, Baylor has won recruiting battles over. Now, these are offers at Oregon, Nebraska, Southern Cal, UCLA, Utah, TCU, Tennessee, Florida State, Arkansas, Auburn, Oklahoma State, Arizona, Michigan State, Colorado. That's pretty good. But there are some names that are not on that list. Mm-hmm. And when you start to win some head up against Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas, and they'll maybe win a couple with Oklahoma and Texas on occasion. But yeah, that's still, it's not Texas Southern, with all due respect, or Stephen F. Austin or UTEP.
Well, not every guy with a not so impressive offer list is a bad player either. I mean, there is something to be said for identifying developmental players and building them up, or finding the diamonds in the rough. I think Matt Rule did a good job with that, of just they focused more on the size and the potential and the speed and the measurements and things like that, and said, okay, we could take this base and turn him into an even better football player. And that's why that team was so tough. They toughened him up, and they and taught him and developed. And that development part is such a huge aspect of having success at the college football level. So I think Dave Aranda and staff are going to do a good job with development. And every once in a while, especially with James Blanchard, you're going to see those guys who don't have an impressive offer list, but they're probably going to end up being really great players.
Matt Rule said over and over again he wanted his players who they recruited to be really, really good by that. He was in the old school way by years 4 and 5, which most of the time in this day and age, most kids aren't here for years 4 and 5. But that was the philosophy. This philosophy appears to be, hey, you're good enough, come play for us. And that you still want, along with that, you have to have, no matter who Alabama is or Ohio State is or whoever, Clemson, you have to have those that get better and better, a little bit better every year, and then all of a sudden they help you as juniors and seniors, whether 4th or 5th year. All right, coming up next, Andrew Billings. He was a blue-chip type player from Waco High, committed to Baylor, played with the Bengals. He's been out west, and now with the Cleveland Browns. And announced earlier on Twitter that he and the Billings family have announced and launched their own foundation to give back to the community. That is next on SicEm365 Radio. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans. Do you have problems falling asleep at night? Do you struggle? let's say you go to bed at 10:30, you go to bed at 11, you go to bed maybe even later than that, or maybe you go to bed much earlier. But there are times in which, because of all that's cluttered in your mind or whatever, and a lot of it might have been what you've eaten or what you've done or what's going on that kind of maybe even hot in your apartment, you don't feel that comfortable. But sometimes it's just you can't fall asleep and you lose sleep because you don't fall asleep when it's time to go to bed, whatever time that might be for you. Vita Dreams can help you change that. I promise you that. At Don Humidor and Coffee Beans, Vita Dreams allows you, when you're ready to go to bed, it's a gummy, and a little bit before that, 30 minutes, 45 minutes or so, you take a bite of the gummy, and then next thing you know, you wake up the next morning. And you're like, man, that was great. Instead of tossing and turning. That doesn't mean there's not going to be some nights where that still doesn't happen, but it does help you fall asleep and get that extra 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour of sleep. And yes, they have the cigars and much more, but I wanted to focus in on Vita Dreams and CBD products at Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love. Serve hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Saw this earlier in the week. Andrew Billings, in fact, it was yesterday, excited to announce the Billings Family Find a Way Foundation has been officially launched. My family and I will be working closely to provide resources, support, solutions to improve the communities we live in, and we look forward to making a difference. And there it is on the bio. I've retweeted it, put it up, and Andrew Billings of the Cleveland Browns, Waco High, and Baylor joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Why now, Andrew?
It was a good time to do it. It was a good place, and I was able to focus on it and knock it out.
Andrew, what are some of the issues that you really want to hit with this foundation and people you want to reach?
The youth. I'm really trying to reach out to the youth and provide things like school supplies for them, and also the teachers as well. And also doing things like football camps, especially D-line, O-line type camps later on, and also partnering with American Lung Association to focus on lung health too in the community as well.
So you've been a pretty busy guy, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been pretty busy.
You just kind of you kind of feel like you're in a place now where you can sort of start spreading your wings a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I bet you're biting at the bit, or whatever the term would be, because not playing and sitting out. We had you on earlier this year. We discussed that with you. Where do you feel like you are physically right now? Are you physically, strength, conditioning, ready to go?
No, not football. You gotta get through camp for that. But I am definitely on my way there. I'm training in Atlanta right now and just getting work in every day.
Oh, Atlanta! I know you've been to a couple different places. Is this a new place you've been to, Atlanta, to train?
Yeah. I came here last year. Really liked it, so decided to go with it this year.
What is the difference in? There's 1,000 people out there that train professional athletes, maybe more, in certain places, different facilities. What really is the difference overall? Is it whoever you believe and trust that allows you to go to the next level?
Yeah, a part of that. You know, you really want to go with somebody that knows your body, but also it depends on like what you're trying to focus on that specific year. Like there's a year I was focusing on pass rush, so I went somewhere else to focus on pass rush. This year I'm focusing on pure conditioning, so I knew this place right here would be best for me for conditioning purposes.
What was it like to go through a practice? I didn't know that, mini camps and all those things are not necessarily the most fun things, but for you headed sing out, what was it like to be back in practice and with that defensive line with Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney and some of the guys that you guys are going to have?
Man, it felt good. It felt good to get back out there. I really can't even explain it. You don't know how much you miss it until, you get home after the first day and like, oh man, actually a good day today. And the guys that are out there, man, it's nothing but good guys, and we're always out there having fun. We're always out there competing and working hard too. So it's always nice to have a group like that.
Andrew, what's the buzz like in Cleveland right now, just because of the players that you mentioned? Baker Mayfield, obviously, a lot of weapons, a lot of talent. This isn't the same old Browns, is it? This is a Browns franchise that's, in contention. So I imagine that the city's just going crazy, but kind of how does it feel? Does it feel like the franchise is on the verge of something pretty special?
Yeah, definitely. It really does. For me, especially being out there, this is my first year with them, it feels very special to me. But we're really, really focusing on, getting back in the playoffs. And from our head coach, it's something that even though we went last year, you got to work this year to get there because half the teams don't make it back. So the atmosphere is, get what you need to get done personally so we can be taken care of as a team.
Can you sense the difference of the fan base even during what has been a strange 12 or so months, or since, in fact, you were there, in what it is like in Cleveland compared to Cincinnati or elsewhere?
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to get once you actually start going around and going places. They love the Browns out there, you know, good or bad years, you know, and they expect a lot out of us now, as they always have. So, I mean, it's interesting. It's about as close to college atmosphere that I've ever had in the NFL so far.
Is that just because of the enthusiasm of the joy of something that hasn't been there in a long time in Cleveland, or what do you sense flip that switch?
I think it's that, and it's just always been there too, though. You know, even when I played for the Bengals, I mean, they're out there, no matter what, they're out there. So I think they've been waiting on this type of team for a while, and they finally got it. So they're out there 100% all the way.
What's it been like? And obviously, since you didn't play last year, I'm more curious. Like, what's it like building a relationship with your DC Joe Woods and your position coaches? How has that process worked?
Pretty well so far. We've actually got to, you know, meet each other in person and talk a little bit. So you can't really get a sense of somebody's real personality over Zoom. That's what we've been doing. So it was real nice just to actually see them face to face and talk to them.
Online, it's abillingsfoundation.org. A for Andrew, Billings his name, and of course foundation.org. Logo, pretty neat logo as well. Find a Way Foundation. It shows you speaking. It shows you with a group of youth at something. People can donate to your foundation as well. You mentioned it was time. You're in a good place. What do you mean by you're in a good place?
Well, I finally, you know, got my feet on the ground in the NFL after, you know, my rookie year being injured and just figuring out things and honestly just getting free agency over.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was that like to go through?
It was very interesting, man. It's, you know, first time ever doing it. So it's nerve-wracking. It's really nerve-wracking, but I wouldn't compare it to the draft, but it felt good and to get it over with.
We're mad at you, though. We're mad at you because you were supposed to come into our studio and commit to whatever NFL team you were going to play with next and create a bunch of anxiety. That's what you were supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
It's still, we don't have to go over that story because we've told it 500 times, but that was a day.
An amazing day.
We thought it was a hell of a day for us. I can't even imagine the day that you were going through all that, especially with Phil Bennett scaring the hell out of you. You know he's at North Texas now?
I did not know that. I didn't know he was in North Texas.
Yeah, he's a defensive coordinator. He was retired for a little bit, and all of a sudden...
He was on the show with us every week during football season.
Yeah, it's great. And, of course, some of the story... He's a storyteller now, as you know. Good Lord.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a favorite Phil Bennett story other than when he threatened your life to commit to Baylor?
I got a lot of stories, man. I got a lot of stories.
Well, you can tell us one if you want
I don't know. Phil Bennett stories may not all be safe for radio, actually.
They're good stories. I'll tell you guys in person when I see you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, again, the foundation is available. You can donate. You can go A. Billings Foundation with Andrew Billings and the family as well, and it .org, not .com, but .org, with the Cleveland Browns right now. And, of course, still to this day, if I don't bring it up, then fans will say, how come you didn't ask him? What was the game? Was it Iowa State when you chased down somebody from behind down the field 25 yards? What game was that?
Yeah, that was Kansas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we've asked you that many times, but if I don't bring it up, how come you didn't ask him about that? Is that still one of your favorite plays because of what it showed your motor never stops?
Yeah, definitely. It was one of my most surprising plays, too. I don't think ever. I might, hopefully, if I get another chance to catch a running back from behind, then I'll definitely take it. But it was amazing. It was amazing to watch it and actually do it too.
Have you heard about Baylor's nose tackle now and a young man who transferred in from LSU out of Utah named Siaka Ika? Have you heard much about him, or have you met him? I'm not sure if you.
I've seen some pictures of him. But I'm ready to see what he can do.
So is everybody else.
Yeah.
So is everybody else.
He seems to be someone that gives them that, Bravion Roy obviously was a fantastic player. Now with Coach Trull at Charlotte or Carolina, and there seems to be some comparisons with him and Andrew Billings even.
Yeah.
We'll
like to see it.
We'll see it, right?
Yeah, he's waiting to see it, just like everybody else. Yeah.
So training camp starts in about a month. And next thing you know, there's preseason or whatever. So what is your schedule? We're working out, as you mentioned. I think you said Atlanta. What is your schedule between now and training camp? Do you get to go away for a week, go somewhere out of the country, go vacation? What do you do the next month?
This next month, man, I'm going to get as much exercise as I can. And I might take a weekend off around here, maybe the 4th or something like that, and go see some fireworks somewhere. But other than that, I'm just getting ready for the season. I had a whole year off, so I think I have plenty of vacation time.
Yeah, I think you're tired of that time off. Did you ever question yourself during that time?
A couple of times. You know, it's so much time, so much free time. You got nothing else but sit there and think about it, though.
Was it that, or did you ever feel like that there could be repercussions from others because you didn't play?
The repercussions, I thought there could be, but I wasn't worried about that. I really didn't go on the decision because I knew the real repercussions would have been if I had gotten COVID, especially with asthma. So, it was really just a medical-based decision for me. And the Browns, they helped me out the most, you know.
Well, Andrew, I was reading a little bit, just some articles about you earlier, and you've even said, right, that your choice was backed up by seeing Myles Garrett go through it, right?
Yeah. Seeing him, on the sideline, I could understand, why I didn't need to get it.
Hey, I've had it. I get it, dude. I totally get it.
Andrew, we're proud of you, man. Thank you for your time. We always love the family. The Billings family is the best. abillingsfoundation.org. Find a Way Foundation. Good luck with that. Good luck with the next month. Relaxing, enjoying, and also training camp coming up around the corner.
Yeah, and Andrew, I don't know how often you make it back to Waco, but if you do, especially, I know your season's going to be pretty busy, but next time you do, we got this studio here just waiting on you to come by if you ever want to. So that's an open invitation for you.
You don't even have to call. Just come. Just come in. You're welcome.
It's about a 10-minute drive from your parents' house. That's it.
Yeah.
Lakeshore, MLK,
right
and
across
here.
Baylor.
Yeah.
Right across from Baylor.
Yep. All right, buddy. Let us know if you come into town again. We'll get you in. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
It's Andrew Billings at Billings Andrew on his Twitter feed, and again, he's got the announcement from yesterday about the new foundation, Billings Family Find a Way Foundation. Good luck. Love it when they have a chance, players, athletes, whoever, even personalities that weren't part of sports, have a chance to give back. When we come back, a couple of notes. Pulse 5 at 5:55 coming up in 20 minutes. SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas. I popped in there today, as a matter of fact. 5 locations right here at home: Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps, and convenient drive-thrus and ATMs at all locations. Look, they've got the first mobile app. You can do your banking wherever you are, check balances, make transfers, pay bills, and transfer funds. And you deposit a check using your smartphone, snap a picture of the front and back of your check, choose your account, and deposit, and it's there. The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home.
It's the 4th of July sales event at Allen Samuels with the 2021 Chrysler 300 with values up to $5,250 or 0% for 84 months. Be sure and see the 2021 Dodge Charger GT with total values up to $4,250 or 0% for 72 months. Allen Samuels, the award-winning customer service Central Texas dealer. Located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco and online at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com.
U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Do it today by searching SicEm365 on YouTube.
SicEm365 Radio, Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, David Smoak. We have Armstrong Sims in the studio, Emma, and also Hayden.
Armstrong is here for the whole day today.
Wow.
He's been standing up a lot. He's pretty frisky.
Yeah.
He's frisky because we have Torchy's Tacos in the studio, and he said get this queso, and it's pretty good, by the way. Giving him a free plug. It's good, though. I can't argue.
I think it's the best. And just going to say, it's amazing. Listen, this is what there are pros and cons to legalizing weed, and I get it. But one of the pros is that people can sit in the kitchen and make queso like that, because that's probably what happened at Torchy's in Austin.
So wait, what?
Look, that queso is so good because some
guy in Austin was smoking pot
and just got in the lab.
Well, at least he was doing good, whoever it was. I mean, he wasn't out hurting anybody and just chilling. I was like, maybe I'll put guacamole in this queso. And oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's actually, we should start selling that. So yeah, it doesn't always lead to bad things.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. I didn't think about that.
I think half the snacks on our shelves are from potheads that just were coming up with ideas of, like, look, maybe
Cheetos and Oreos.
You put strawberry filling in a donut? Like, imagine how great that would be, you know?
Flamin' Hot Cheetos have to be. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of those because I can't do, like, anything hot. Like, I mean, even, like, remotely hot. I just don't have the taste buds for it. I was born with very weak taste buds when it comes to any type of heat for some reason. But, a lot of people love Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Never been my bag. I like the regular version, but a lot of people love Flamin' Hot Cheetos, and yeah, that was probably a pothead suggestion as well, yeah.
All right, so that has got a little kick to it. So Craig probably would be just on the edge.
I mean, I can do it. My mouth gets hot really easily, really easily.
What I like about it is, and we'll get back to some things that matter too. But
I don't enjoy the feeling of my mouth being like some people like that, but I don't.
I never want to put something in my like a food or whatever in this case, and then have to immediately drink something because it's that hot.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why do it?
I think Smokey, you would enjoy this as a person who interviews people. But there's a show. It's on YouTube. It might not be on. It might have been picked up by somebody else. But it's called. Have you ever seen it? Armstrong Hot Ones.
Oh yeah.
So what they have. So just pick a celebrity. Paul Rudd, Justin Timberlake, whoever, and he has 10 chicken wings, and he asks them 10 questions, and the wings get hotter as they answer questions, and they get to the really hot one, and it turns into pretty comical things.
Yeah.
I don't know why I would whatever. Well, I don't know why you would want to eat something or bite into.
Well, they're doing it to promote their movies.
But it's all like all the stuff's very flavorful. So a lot of times they're like, oh, that's flavorful, but like they don't get the hot right away. So they'll tell you, oh, that tastes good, and then all of a sudden you watch,
that's
when you have celebrities melt down. Basically,
Is the number one drink for something that's like burning hot, like a jalapeno or something? Is that milk?
Yeah, you gotta have milk.
That's the number one thing, right?
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
it's smooth, it's cool. And it doesn't have that. Like if you drop the Diet Coke in your mouth after a hot jalapeno, that's going to make it 5 times worse.
And see, that's my other issue is I don't like regular milk. I never have. I've never in my life, like even when I was a little kid, I never liked it.
Like
I don't
skim milk or anything?
Any kind of like regular white milk. I don't like drinking it. I don't put milk in cereal. I just don't eat cereal because dry cereal is not that fun. So I just don't ever really eat cereal. And what I do though, it's dry. I've never liked milk ever. I guess unless when I was a baby and had no choice. But since then, so I don't even have that to go to if I wanted to drink. Or if I wanted the hot stuff, I'm already screwed.
I used to be like you, where I can eat hot stuff. Or I was literally just like, I'm going to build up a tolerance.
Is that what
and just
you
like
did?
force myself to eat hot things. But now I'm like, I'll take a jar of jalapenos, sliced jalapenos, and just eat it for fun.
For fun?
But I mean, for the taste. Like not even like it's not even hot to me.
Oh, okay.
Like I like the taste of the jalapenos.
See, I never get past the burning to taste anything.
Now, Craig,
what about chocolate milk? Same
I
thing?
like chocolate milk a lot.
So good.
Okay, because the taste of chocolate milk to me is
That's where I get my
fantastic.
milk intake
so
is
good.
from chocolate milk.
Craig, I'll tell you this: if you're ever in a situation, butter works as well. So it's just weird that if your like mouth is burning and you don't want milk, you like say you're at a restaurant, something's unsurprisingly hot, you're like, could you just bring me some butter?
Stick of butter.
And then you just put it in your mouth.
Hey.
The thing about restaurant butter, though, is they have them on those trays, those little tiny trays, and they're
you'd
always
have to-
frozen.
You'd have to like.
Yeah, they're really, though, either if they're wrapped up or the ones that are sitting there
suck
at
on
like
it
a
like a
banquet,
mint.
they're always like, I don't understand that.
So do you like Indian food?
I don't actually.
Okay.
What about like,
that's like
is curry,
super
I do.
spicy.
Is curry Indian food?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or Thai food. They use it on that too. Yeah, but yeah, I like
like
both
that
Indian
stuff.
and Thai food. You just have to be careful though, because you gotta.
Like
You gotta-
shrimp
you have to-
curry is pretty good to me.
Yeah, I think when you have it, if curry is on the name, you need to look at the little indicator next to it. They have like on the menu, they have like a pepper.
So I was watching old Bourdain episodes, not even like what was his show on CNN, the Destination, whatever the name was. I can't think of it right now. But the one he originally did, which was like on NYU, the NYU channel in New York City. I mean, this is like old school New York, and him traveling around at a much younger age. Still had like gray hair and stuff, but he went to an Indian friend's house. I think she was Indian, and was there and watched her and her mother prepare like a traditional meal. And the amount of freaking spices they were putting in this dadgum dish, dude. Like, my mouth was burning just watching it. I mean, just spice after spice after spice. I wish I could enjoy it, but I just have no tolerance for it. He liked it, though. He liked the heat, but I just can't do it.
Who's the bald-headed guy that goes around?
Andrew Zimmern.
Yeah, that's it. What? Like right now.
I miss Bourdain, by the way. I really do. I miss that guy.
Yeah, I do too. It's unfortunate.
Andrew Zimmern was my favorite interview at the Super Bowl in New Orleans, as a matter of fact.
My favorite interviews are all non-football players.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much. That's kind of how the Super Bowl radio row goes.
If, in fact,
he called Zach Burke a wuss.
He did?
He did. Zach was trying to be a vegetarian, and it was Zach's birthday yesterday, by the way. But Zach was trying to be a vegetarian, and we had Zach was producing down the line. I said, our producer is a vegetarian, and he's like, oh, they're so boring. What a wuss.
God.
That is a very Zach move to go to vegetarian, though.
And then he, obviously scrapped it.
Then he had like a chicken tender one day. He's like, no, I'll just have the one. And then he just, fell off. But yeah, Andrew Zimmerman's entertained too, but I really do miss Bourdain. I thought he was so unique, and he had a really interesting personality. He's a very dark guy, and you could tell he had just demons, but who doesn't?
Came here and did a show with Ted Nugent.
Did really?
Yeah. He did.
Yeah. All right, if you had a cooking Food Network show, which one is your favorite? Do you have one? Like Bobby Flay or
Cupcake Wars?
Cupcake Wars.
No, I don't
What's
know.
the one?
No, I'm just saying.
I am a little over the cake shows where like 95% of it isn't edible, or it's just like the paste. It's like there's like this much filling in it. I don't like that.
What's the one? You have the Iron Chef, and you have all that.
I like the original Iron Chef a lot.
Yeah. What's the one that runs like 19 consecutive shows with the guy that's in the Mustang or the
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Diner. I can watch that and just let it run all day long and just pick up little pieces of it along the way.
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives in the original.
How does that guy
Man
not weigh
versus
517 pounds?
I mean, they have to. Well, Adam Richman had to stop doing Man versus Food because the food challenges were ripping him up. And he would do it like he would do a food challenge and go to a city and do all that. And then for 3 weeks, they wouldn't do another show, and he would eat salads and stuff. Because and
I know a lot of them are reruns from
but if he goes to Cincinnati to do this, super gigantic hamburger challenge. But along the way, there's other 2 restaurants he goes to and tries something. So his week in Cincinnati, he's been eating nothing but junk food. So then he would go and not eat healthy for a few weeks and earn it.
Yeah, it makes me wonder. They show up at a restaurant. Go ahead,
but
Craig.
he doesn't eat the whole meal. It's not like he's sitting there. He has like 2 bites and then he's on to the next plate, and that's how he's able to do it. And I'm sure he works out, and he's obviously very busy. So yeah, there's ways to curb that, but you do have to be careful, I'd imagine, especially with a lot super junky, greasy food and doing too much of that. But yeah, Bourdain was my favorite guy. Now I don't watch enough Food Network shows or food type shows to probably have a new favorite. It's definitely not like Bobby Flay or anything like that.
There's so many now that are just all of them are competitive though. A lot of the shows now are all about competition. It almost goes back to the Survivor started.
I like the original Chopped with Mark Summers.
Yeah, that's good too. All right, Paul, a break or you?
No, we can talk about something else for 5 minutes if you want.
Okay,
we're all done on breaks. First time this week.
Let's talk about the Rangers. No, never mind. Let's not. They don't deserve 5 minutes of time.
Yeah. By the way,
I got it. Go ahead.
Okay. The NCAA is expected to adopt a policy on NIL before July 1st. And essentially, here, just to break it down and keep it simple, this is from our friend Ross Dellinger at SI.com. Under the plan, the NCAA would mostly exempt itself from NIL. Schools in states with an NIL law may follow that law without penalty, and schools located in states without a statute are granted permission to each create and administer their own NIL policy as long as they use guiding principles such as prohibiting NIL ventures designed as pay-for-play or recruiting inducements.
It's going to be an absolute, to me, and I hope I'm wrong, but it's going to be an absolute zoo. David Anderson on Twitter, I used to be like Craig with hot, spicy food, but the last few years I cannot have a pizza now unless it's covered in jalapeno peppers.
Wow.
Also from Daniel, my oldest sister once dated a pole vaulter in high school. This is over because of Casey Lightfoot on earlier today. Once he came to pick her up for a date, she asked me to stall since she wasn't quite ready. I asked him about the poles he used to vault, which is a question I asked Casey, and it took the entire 20 minutes my sister needed to finish getting ready. Pole vaulters are very picky about their equipment.
I would think so.
I mean, I asked the question. I probably didn't ask it quite the way I should have, the way I positioned it. But some guys, irons, drivers, golf balls, everyone has kind of their own niche. Now, some of them also do it because they get endorsement money as well. But the pole vaulters, I still don't know if I could ever run down, if I even had enough speed to get down, put that thing in the ditch, and try to lift myself in the air.
When you're trying out a golf club, you'll pick it up and do kind of, you swing against the air. What do you do? What do you do for a pole vault?
You gotta.
I mean, do you shake it? Do you what do you do? I don't What's the
I'd imagine there's like a weight factor, just like with a baseball bat. You got to get the right length and weight.
Yeah, but what's the air swinging equivalent of a pole vault? Because it's not like you just would run and test it out right away. You want to know some things.
I have no idea.
Well, if only we knew a guy who Who knew about those things?
When Casey wins the gold medal in Tokyo, we'll next time we have him on, if he's not to the point where we can't get him, we'll ask him that question. We'll try to get that information from him. All right, the Astros, you were going to mention, there was a sarcastic.
I mean, I was joking about the Rangers. I really don't care to talk about them.
Yeah, Mike George, calm the hell down. Let Fairweather fan Craig know that I appreciate his lowly Rangers for knocking off Oakland last night, providing an additional game. Mike, you are way, way too all in this Astros thing. They're good. We never said they weren't, and the Rangers suck.
Also, Oakland won today.
All right, they got to have.
Dude, don't ever call me a Fairweather fan. Shut your mouth. I'm no Fairweather fan. I've been a Rangers fan the entire time, and they've been bad the majority of the time. If you're being sarcastic, then all is well and good. But definitely not a Fairweather fan rooting for the teams I root for.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, one of the things about yesterday, one of the things we asked about Mac Rhodes, and Ashley Hodge is the one that asked me a couple of the questions that I asked Mac. One of them was about. We mentioned, all of us in a way, about how this college football playoff expansion should slow down realignment of the super conferences, correct? Mm-hmm. And then who knows when all the grant of rights and all that stuff expires in the next 3 to 5 years. But also, the question was pretty good. And I had a few of you respond to me, direct messages, whatever, about how some schools other than Notre Dame were starting to feel a little bit of pressure to kind of cave in with some of their mission statements and or their beliefs because they were looked down on in the next level of whatever would be realignment. Is that true?
I don't know if
and
it's
Mac
true.
asked, he goes, I can't speak for other people.
I don't know if it's true, if it's perceived, but sometimes when something is perceived enough, it kind of takes on a life of its own.
Okay.
And so I don't know if it's true. You know, I do know that and I think this has probably grown out of when the Big 12 was breaking up and the Pac-12 thing almost happened with Texas and Tech and whoever, and people asked why not Baylor. The belief was that schools like Cal and Stanford didn't want religious schools in the conference.
Wow, how open-minded of them.
But Stanford and Cal never came out and said that. And ultimately the thing didn't happen because they didn't want the Longhorn. No one wanted the Longhorn Network. No conference wanted the Longhorn Network. And Texas wasn't going to budge on it. So essentially the Longhorn Network broke up and saved the Big 12 because no one else wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there is somewhat of an attack on religion in this country. Mm-hmm. I do believe that fully. I don't know to the extent of academically. I mean, I do know the majority of colleges out there are very liberal and, people with, different ideas than probably a lot of people who grew up Southern Baptist and living in Texas. And I don't know why Baylor can't exist and do their thing in their lane, and other people would have a problem with that. If you have an issue with religious schools, I would love to hear the reasonings as to why. I don't see religious schools going out and trying to say that non-religious schools shouldn't be allowed to play in this or play in that. I mean, how about everybody just does what they want to as long as it's not hurting anybody else, and you mind your freaking business? How about that? Why do we have to have our opinion, our belief placed on every other thing around us to make it okay? How about differences? Differences are good, and we're trying to erase differences when they're never going to be erased because they're obvious. They're in front of us, and we don't have to acknowledge them constantly, but they are there, and we don't have to pretend that everything is all the same.
Yeah. I also don't think, I think sometimes the religious school thing is a kind of a front.
Hiding behind the privacy.
Well, yeah. But they say that, but also that's the excuse of this school is smaller and we'd like to be attached to a bigger school. I think that's some of it too. And so they, instead of saying look, there's not enough students in the school to make us attractive to an expansion, because expansion, it has nothing to do with religious schools or non-religious schools. If you're going to go into a big super conference, the obvious money is to go and make it big schools. So if you want a super conference, you want all big schools. Well,
not big schools, TV markets, right?
Yeah, but big TV markets also, big schools also expand into the big TV markets because, if you go to Ohio State, Columbus is a huge TV market now as well, but also those people go off into other parts of the Midwest for the most part. So you have TV interest in all over the Midwest for Ohio State. It's the same thing with Texas or whatever, so if you have more alumni, more students, and your TV footprint is bigger, if you have smaller schools because they're private, then you're...
I don't always say things right because I'm not very smart, but one of the things, I know we got to get to that top five, is that people want to be included. They want people to be, accept. And yet, when it comes to religious schools, the same people maybe who want you to accept them for who they are, whether it's their lifestyle or whatever else, then like, oh my God, that's bad. Yeah. Isn't that hypocritical?
Oh, yeah, it absolutely is. But, you get shouted down saying that by the other hypocrites, many of them in media.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. Coming soon. Check out slapstickscomedy.com. All right, yesterday we did top 5 best fits for Davion Mitchell. Today, top 5 best fits for Jared Butler. Most people don't see him going in the lottery. I think even when he does, and I'm going to keep saying when because I believe he will get cleared, through the health protocols. When he does clear it, I think that might be one of the things that knocks him out of the lottery. Plus, maybe people just feel Davion Mitchell's skill set is best fit for the lottery, but Jared Butler is still going to go in the first round when he gets drafted. Number 5, Memphis. This team picks at 17. Middle-of-the-pack team. Could certainly use a scorer in a guy like Jared Butler. I think that's a good fit for him where he could. They've got Ja Morant. I think that's a nice fit, him and Ja together. So, they were in the playoffs.
Do they still have that big guy, the guy inside can't think of it. Who's their
Gasol was the guy forever. But
is he not there anymore?
That was like 2003.
Mark
Does
Gasol.
John Calipari still coach them?
Yeah, no. Okay. Number 4, the Los Angeles Clippers, who have a reasonably high pick. That would be a great fit for him, and that's an older team that needs to think about getting younger, even though they're in the Western Conference Finals. I think their pick is around 22 or somewhere like that.
Well, Memphis is not in much of a need of a point guard, but who you're talking about here, the Clippers are definitely in need of a point guard. They could absolutely use a Jared Butler, absolutely.
Yeah, so that'd be a great fit for him. He could slide right in and really step into a great situation. Number 3, because they have a bunch of draft picks, especially down low, Houston, and he would play almost right away there because I don't know who the roster is.
No, they've got a couple guys that are solid, but they really badly need a point guard. They really badly need a center. They really badly need a power forward. So, they could go a variety of different directions, but Jared Butler would fill a point guard need. It would just, I guess, obviously depend on who else is available.
I haven't watched them, and I know you don't have much time here, but what did they get in return for the players that were traded? Did they
draft
get
picks?
Okay, all right.
Draft. That's all right. What everybody wants anymore, draft picks. Number 2, the New York Knicks. I believe they're at 19. And that's a team that made the playoffs this year.
Oh, my God. The whole East Coast went nuts, and it was neat to see the Knicks back, at least it was relevant, but, man, they got swished away pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made an impact while they were out there, though. And, I'm not always a big subscriber to, New York teams and L.A. teams have to be good for sports to be good. I think that's stupid, but I do think it adds another element. It doesn't make it, that much better, but it does provide a different –
well, it's been a while.
Yeah. It's like the Canadians winning the Stanley Cup if they do that. It'll be a big deal because they haven't done it in a while. So to see Madison Square Garden rocking, we hadn't seen it in a while.
Yeah, and look, if the Knicks and the Celtics are playing in the Eastern Conference playoffs, it's cool for people who are traditional. It's great.
You see Spike Lee in the game that they were being knocked out. He was leaving quickly. Yeah. Number 1, just hired Rick Carlisle, the Indiana Pacers. I think he's going to shake up the world there, and I think Jared he doesn't
Butler,
play young players though, does he?
Well, if they're good, he does.
Luka.
Remember Luka sat on the bench all his career. He'll play young players.
I'm talking about Luka's once in a lifetime type guy.
Jared Butler, Davion, these aren't guys coming in to develop though. So it's not like he would draft them to stash them or to develop. he would draft them to play them.
They're not one and dones. They're 3-year guys.
No, you're right.
In college basketball,
and they need a point guard too.
So that's and I just think I think Jared could take the coaching style of Carlisle, which is he coaches people hard and he expects a lot. So I think he could take that.
Never want anything other than that.
Yeah, but
that's me.
I think the big thing about Rick Carlisle is he doesn't suffer superstardom in its ugly forms.
Yeah, what about you? I know we're up against the top.
I would be fine with his style, but his smart ass nature when he kind of feels there's sometimes where he talks where he's too smart for everybody else, and me and him would certainly butt heads on that. Me and him would definitely go to town on that.
All right, thanks to our guests, including Don Trull and Lawrence Elkins. Just a sneak peek of an hour and a half with them from earlier today. Also, thanks to Mickey Spagnola, Andrew Billings. Thanks to Casey Lightfoot. Also, Craig's Off the Radar and Paul's Top 5 at 5:55. For Hayden, for Emma, for Armstrong Sims, I'm David Smoak. For Paul Catalina, Craig's out tomorrow. I'm not sure if I will be or not. Thank you for watching and listening, and our great sponsors. Good night on SicEm365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.